My name is Choi Youngjik, a simple and ordinary young adult from South Korea, who studied food and nutrition during college. His goal had been simple: to be an all-around fitness trainer. I learned bodybuilding for the first time in the military. Being a frontline unit member, there was not much to enjoy. Naturally, going to the gym became the only source of joy for me. His mother looks at him, exasperated. Happy? Are you really my son? Even after returning to college, I didn't stop exercising. His classmates whispered, no matter how much I think, why would a physical endowment major currently be taking Korean history classes? Another replies, he's originally from the history department. As a result of pouring more time into fitness than my major until graduation, no matter how I look at him, it doesn't seem like he's a history major? I became obsessed with fitness. Anyway, thanks to that obsession, I became a Class 1 professional sports trainer. Was something different than usual. It was probably drinking alcohol, which I normally don't do for the sake of my muscles. The door creaked open. Should I watch some YouTube before going to sleep? He scrolled through the suggestions. What was the reason that King Sejong lived a short life? Isn't it obvious? That's because he couldn't exercise at that time, wasn't it? Soo-young blinked, pondering the possibilities. Well, while we are at it, I wonder what life would be like for a professional health and sports instructor in Joseon times. Visions of a muscular army filled his mind. If something like this had happened, then the history of Joseon. He imagined a legion of swole soldiers marching into battle. Will be rewritten. If the history changed because of that professional health trainer, then that will be really fun. Royal Prince, you have to wake up now. Cock-a-doodle-doo, it's so noisy. Where is my phone? Huh? What was I must have drunk a bit too much last night. Soo-young is startled. What is this all? I think I haven't fully woken up yet. The birds chirped outside the window, a stark contrast to the modern city sounds he was used to. He sat up, trying to get his bearings. Duh. What the hell has happened? A servant stood patiently by the door, completely unfazed by Soo-young's outburst. Royal Prince, now it's time for you to wake up. Why? Oh, why? Why did my body suddenly turn skinny? But whose body is this? No, this can't be real. Good morning, Royal Prince. The servant stood patiently outside, waiting for a response. Hey. My name, what is my name? Pardon? Your birth name is bestowed as Su, while you use the refined identity of Suji as your courtesy name. Is it accurate to say that my father's given name is Idu? Yes. That's right, Idu, the fourth great king of Joseon. Furthermore, he is most likely recognized by the posthumous title, King Sejong the Great. If really my father is King Sejong the Great, and if my name is Iu, in history this name is more widely known as, why am I, and how come I ended up in the Joseon time period? To be all my senses are too real. It seems like I really came to the Joseon era. Your Majesty, Grand Prince Jinyang has arrived at court. Since I'm still called Grand Prince Jinyang, this must be before 1445. It's obvious to be nervous as there is nothing familiar about this situation, but thinking about the man I'm about to meet right now, my heart is pounding like crazy. Historically greatest and popularly most revered figure of South Korea. To think I'm going to have an audience with the great King Sejong. As a history student, this is such an overwhelming moment. Right, you're here? Look how charismatic his voice and gasping are. I summoned you here because I had an order for you. Sejong demanded. What are you staring blankly at? Are you not awake yet? Soo-young's eyes widened. Is this Sejong the Great? Sejong tilted his head in confusion. What is the matter? Soo-young bowed slightly. I apologize. As father has shown a lot of insight in taking care of the national affairs, I was wondering what kind of decree you would bestow upon this dull son. That's why I failed to hold my manners. This automatic translation function is interesting. Sejong replied, don't call yourself dull. I adore your talent, so I am going to assign you an appropriate task. We're going to rewrite the comprehensive reflections to aid in governance. Sejong commanded him to go to the Hall of Worthies and rewrite it in big letters. Soo-young was shocked. The Hall of Worthies? I receive your command. The Hall of Worthies, Soo-young mused. Who would have thought I'd come to the Hall of Worthies in my life? Someone commented, if the Grand Prince is the one who will fix the outline, you will be able to see words that are full of power. Soo-young replied, please stop flattering me. Grand Prince Ampyeong's writing is better than mine. The other man chuckled, ho. How humble of you. Soo-young continued, by the way, it's not just words. I don't have any problem understanding words either, as if the memories of this body's original owner are still here. He flipped through the pages. He examined the text closely. Reading into this, the letters in this book aren't that small, though. But the great King Sejong said that he couldn't see it well. Suddenly, Soo-young's eyes locked onto a new target, the great King Sejong himself. According to the eyes of a 15-year trainer, he ran an ID index on the king. The results were less than ideal. Severely obese, BMI above 35. Not a good start. On top of that, his face looked too swollen. Even though it was a cool summer morning, he was forming sweat beads on his forehead. In summary, diabetes, or impaired glucose tolerance, a previous stage of diabetes, is suspected. The history after this was as obvious as looking at fire. Not long after this, the great King Sejong would pass away. King Munjong would undergo 3 years of mourning twice in a row, then rapidly deteriorate and die. In the end, Danjong would rise to the throne, and after that, Soo-young's mind raced, contemplating the grim future that awaited King Sejong. No, I will never let it happen that way. Just then, Crown Prince Yi-hyang, the eldest son of the great King Sejong and future King Munjong, entered the room. How unusual of you, when you used to go to the mountains every day and enjoy hunting. This man is the 5th king of Joseon, and my brother too. Soo-young turned to face him. What brings you here, brother? Father wants me to check the books he's about to read. The Crown Prince replied, Don't worry about me, and continue doing your business. Soo-young repeated to himself, The books he's about to read? Soo-young's eyes narrowed. By any chance, did brother notice it too? The Crown Prince explained, Brother, after reading the books for the first time in a long time, some books have fonts that are so small that it is difficult to read. Soo-young nodded, hiding his true intentions. I felt that the order to rewrite them in larger letters was truly appropriate. The Crown Prince narrowed his eyes, sensing something more. It seems like there's another intention behind your words. Was it too obvious? Were you aware of father's far-sighted vision too? Soo-young played it cool. It was only a guess. The Crown Prince scrutinized him. You always acted like a know-it-all usually, but you changed a lot in a short period. Soo-young pressed on, trying to gauge the severity of the situation. When did father's illness begin? I felt the signs appear since 1 year ago. The Crown Prince lowered his voice, concerned. But there's a difference with ordinary farsightedness. It doesn't seem like he simply can't see things close to him. No one knows about this yet, so keep your mouth shut. Soo-young nodded in agreement. Yes, brother. Soo-young smirked to himself, feeling like he'd gotten away with it. That went over naturally, right? As the Crown Prince left, Soo-young was greeted by his attendants. Your Highness, have you been well? He simply answered, yeah. Soo-young sat down, feeling the tension in his neck. Is it because I was too nervous while talking to him? The back of my neck feels pretty stiff. He began to stretch, tilting his head from side to side. He grimaced as he tried to work out the kinks. Ah, so refreshing. Soo-young exclaimed, finally feeling some relief. The other servants looked at him, confused. One of them asked, Grand Prince, what were you doing? If your neck feels stiff, you should give it a massage. But why are you moving your whole body? Soo-young realized they had no idea what he was doing. They don't know about stretching. Soo-young knew that in this era, physicians offered massages, but their effectiveness left much to be desired. He smirked. It is natural because they don't know the exact anatomy or the shape and connection of the muscles. Let's make something up in moderation. I accidentally sprained my neck while riding a horse the other day. Oh my, he continued his explanation. I remembered that I had a hard time with my neck stiffening, and when I flailed around my back, it was relieved. With a confident grin, Soo-young beckoned them closer. Now, why don't you follow me, since it's effective? And just like that, the confused servants found themselves mimicking Soo-young's neck stretches, tilting their heads from side to side. They then proceeded to flail their arms and twist their torsos, trying to relieve the phantom stiffness Soo-young had invented. The servants looked at each other with a mix of confusion and disbelief, wondering if the Grand Prince had finally lost it. The next day, to think we don't need to press our neck hard. Who would have thought the body would feel this comfortable just by moving the shoulders and back? My neck, which was as stiff as a marble stone, is moving. At this rate, we won't need a physician. The modern stretching method taught by Grand Prince Soo-young quickly spread around the hall of worthy scholars. As it relieves the acupoint of the neck, it was called the whale stretch method. But the biggest worry of Grand Prince Soo-young Choi Youngjik didn't vanish. Is anyone here? Come out and greet your guests. Just then, a merchant spotted the Grand Prince. Oh my, isn't this His Highness the Grand Prince? What brings such a respected man to this place? Soo-young replied. I'd like to buy some oil. Something like sesame, not perilla or paulownia tree oil. Other than sesame oil, we have beef tallow. I can even offer you some horse tallow right away. Soo-young tossed him some coins. Collect 5 mal of the poorest quality oil and give it to me. One of the servants watched him, puzzled. Just now, he bought heartleaf, seaweed, and angelica root from the herbal medicine store, but why is he buying so much oil this time? I have no idea what he's thinking about at all. Soo-young thought to himself. If my memory serves me right, Grand Prince Soo-young would die after suffering from severe dermatitis. Until I find a way to go back to the modern time, I need a countermeasure. Even if it's a simple severe dermatitis, it's something fatal in this era. He clenched his fist. I must make it as soon as possible. Back at his residence, a servant announced. We have arrived at your abode, Your Highness. Soo-young nodded. Yeah, great work. Soo-young was thinking to himself, if I just resolve this problem, I can. Just then, a voice interrupted him. You have been visiting the streets very often recently. Soo-young turned to face the speaker, a smile spreading across his face. That is correct, my wife. He was eager to test something out after looking at a book at the Hall of Worth. But wait, why? His wife stared back, unimpressed. A few days ago, you were so focused on hunting, and now you are mingling with lowly people. Right, he had a wife. He was looking for an object that was used to wash one's body during the old Song dynasty. Calm down. He must be even calmer at times like this. His wife tilted her head. Is that so? Soo-young nodded. Yeah. I thought it'd be worth a try. The thing he needs the most after coming to the Joseon era is soap. Even modern people suffer from various skin diseases if they exercise while wearing clothes that have not been washed properly. What if he did bodybuilding in this era, where soaps aren't around? Full of germs, he'd definitely suffer from various skin diseases, he remembered. He did make a soap in the gym where he used to work before. It was a poorly made soap because the building owner grandma said that she couldn't trust soaps in the mart. But for the most part, soap was soap. Youngjik realized that the production method of a soap is actually simple. You can make it by adding water mixed with ashes from burned rice straw to natural olive oil, mixing it with herbal powder and heating it. That's it. With this method, he thought, I should be able to create soap even in the Joseon era. Youngjik was confused. Your body gets dirty when you get oil on it. I never would have thought oil would be one of the ingredients to wash the body. He grinned. I plan to try out several things. In the book, it is said that all dirty water that has soaked into the clothes will leave, and that it removes old dirt too, so how good of an object would it be? His wife stared back at him, silent. Youngjik looked at her expectantly. I really hope that is the case. Huh, my wife? A small chibi version of Youngjik appeared in the corner of the panel, thinking to himself, what's with this couple? Are they not in a really good marital relationship? The sky over the Joseon palace seemed to mock him with its cleanliness. Back in the kitchen, the soap-making process continued. The pot bubbled away, promising cleanliness in a world of grime. Youngjik watched the chemical reaction with satisfaction. I can see the saponification reaction, so it's a success for now. If I want to find the perfect ratio, I have no choice but to keep testing. He leaned in closer to inspect his concoction. It doesn't look visually pleasing at all though. I wonder how good its cleaning power is. Youngjik turned to an attendant. I must test it out on me first. Later that night, the candles flickered, casting long shadows across the room. Youngjik lathered up his arm, giving the soap a try. Oh ho! It's still very lacking, but its cleaning is quite remarkable. He took a deep sniff. It smells savory. But there's sesame oil in it. The smell isn't really it. He stared intently at the bar of soap. If I just resolve the scent problem and make massive production possible, won't I be able to sell it in bulk to the Ming Empire too? The next problem is the great King Sejong's health. He recalled the king's sickly visage. Even King Taejong couldn't succeed in getting him to exercise. Youngjik smirked, a plan forming in his mind. To think I, the second son, who is not even the crown prince, can succeed in getting King Sejong to exercise when he didn't even listen to his own father? Suddenly, a booming voice echoed through the room. It seems like my little Yu is having a lot of random thoughts because he has nothing to do. They offered him positions of power. Would you like to lead the Jurchen people in the north together with Kim Jong-seo? Or how about holding a post in Nirong Island? An official post in animal husbandry in Tamra Island? Does not sound bad either. Soo-young slammed his fist into his palm. In the end, to cure obesity I must win the great King Sejong logically. He looked down at his own body, pinching his meager stomach. My body is a problem too. I can't teach bodybuilding with this kind of body. Even a stray dog would have more muscle than me. In order to increase my persuasive ability, I must reach 400 kilograms of Big 3. He struck a pose, visualizing the gains to come. He knew he needed to hit those deadlifts, squats, and bench presses. His mind raced with possibilities. What if I just make bodybuilding into an entire field of study? How far am I imagining things? I'd make a book containing this theory. Soo-young thought, isn't there a principle of rising in the world and gaining fame? So, improving the body I inherited from my parents should count as filial piety, right? A book that records the study of setting oneself up and preparing one's body. Therefore, the name will be Conducting Oneself and Preparing the Body. Hiya! Huh! Good heavens! Huh! With a thud, Soo-young landed back on the ground. Soo-young marveled at his new body's potential. What's with these gifted genes? He pumped out 29 reps of dips with ease. Then, he effortlessly transitioned into 82 push-ups, before finishing with the dragon flag. He analyzed his performance. Most of his muscle groups are somewhat natural, but the core and pulling strength are beyond average. Soo-young stared at his physique in disbelief. To think I can do 15 pull-ups with this belly fat. As expected, the narrator chimed in, the bloodline of Isangai, Teijo, doesn't lie. Just then, a servant arrived. Your Highness. I brought the things. Finally, the small dumbbells, are here. I shall pay the price right away. It's a relief that you like it since it was our first time making them. Haha, Grand Prince Jinyoung has finally lost it. To think he'd pay bags of rice for those cast iron blocks. Is there a way for us to figure out what those high in status think? Even martial families don't need that much iron. Don't tell me he is gathering soldiers. You! Watch your words. We should just get our hands on their pennies. Let's quickly go. Soo-young, eager to get back to his gains, thinks to himself. I haven't been satisfied working out barehanded all this time. How long has it been since I lifted weights? His wife, however, is far from impressed. Even if he's royalty, he's going too far. Bangshil asks. Are you just going to sit by and watch, Your Highness? But she's quickly shut down. Forget it, Bangshil. That's enough. One of the servants gossips. He even washed his body with oil. Bags of rice is a few years' worth of living costs for a farmer. To think he'd spend such a fortune on iron blocks. His wife continues to stew. He's been very much into hunting for quite some time and treating you as if you didn't exist, she finishes, with a look of utter disdain. And he's now into weird things. As the servants continued to whisper about Soo-young's strange behavior, his wife finally snapped. What sin did our Highness commit in her past life that she... But she was immediately cut off. I told you that's enough. The servant could only respond with a meek ma'am. Meanwhile, Soo-young continued his quest for gains, completely oblivious to the drama unfolding in his household. He admired a small flower, probably thinking about its protein content. He approached another man, holding the flower out to him. The man looked at him with a mix of confusion and curiosity. Back in her room, Soo-young's wife was clearly not having a good day. I'd like to sleep early today. I don't need to be attended to. I'd like to be alone. Back in her room, Soo-young's wife settled into a warm bath, the water filled with rose petals. Her eyes landed on a bar of soap sitting on a nearby table. Is that the thing he calls soap? She picked it up, examining it closely. He washes his body with this thing? She tilted her head, considering. But still, should I give it a try? Curiosity winning, she rubbed the soap against her skin. Bubbles instantly surrounded her. Her eyes wide. As expected. One must lift weights to feel like one has worked out. Who's there? Oh, it was you, my wife. It was nice to be able to remove grime with that thing called soap. Did you try it out too, my wife? But the problem is that the smell of sesame oil is pungent. I'd be mistaken for an oilman's wife if I washed myself with that every day. How about I use pig fat or beef tallow? But both of them are equally expensive. It had become a luxury enjoyed only by Joseon nobles, let alone something that can be sold to the Ming Empire. I thought about how to solve it easily. I think the scent will improve if you mix it with Yodia tree oil or camellia oil. What do you think? Oh, that's it. Those definitely smell better than sesame oil, and are easy to get too. Youngjik grinned, clearly pleased with himself. Thank you, my wife. His wife simply replied, it's nothing. Meanwhile, in a poor village in the Gaichin area, a man watched Soo-young's approach in disbelief. To think the Grand Prince Jinyoung would visit this shabby place. Soo-young approached him, a knowing look on his face. I remember your face clearly. You joined last year's autumn hunt as a chaser, didn't you? Wasn't your entire body covered in scars trying to drive the deer out of the bush? I remember how hard people worked at that time, so I'd like to reward you at least now. I was going to give you silver tokens, but it seems wrong now. I have decided to provide your family with half due of sesame oil, 2 ml of rice, eggs, chicken, and other items twice a month. You must make sure to use them for your family. Good heavens! How would we repay this kindness? You don't have to. But you must report your children's height and weight twice a month. Absolutely, Your Highness. Over the next 2 days, Soo-young promised to provide food to 20 children, and ordered the children's weight and height to be recorded. Half of them were provided with an appropriate diet focused on protein, and the other half were provided with a diet focused on carbs and fat. Afterwards, he planned to record the changes in the children's body shape and exercise ability, and use them as evidence. Little you are talking about that useless stuff again. He presented his findings with the zeal of a man who just discovered the secret to eternal youth. Father, please take a look at these records. Such perfect theory. These records would certainly be of great help in improving King Sejong's eating habits. Meanwhile, the blacksmith worked tirelessly, sparks flying as he hammered away at the metal. Soo-young watched him work. Will it be possible? The blacksmith squinted at the diagram. I cannot read letters, but I can recognize figures. 30 chiak, 20 chiak, 10 chiak. TLN 1 chiak is 30.3 centimeters. One round piece of iron weighs 30 gun. But isn't that the weight of 3 cauldron lids? The prince confirmed his calculations. TLN 1 gun is 375 g, 13.2 ounces. You want to put an iron bar on it, right? The blacksmith confirmed it. That's right. It should be good enough to put around 4 of them at each side. Got it? Su-young's request left the blacksmith bewildered. Pardon? Then 8 of them. Isn't that a total of 240 gun? Su-young nodded, already planning for future gains. To be honest, it needs to be able to withstand a bit heavier weight. The blacksmith looked up, his face a mask of confusion. I'd like it to withstand more than 300 gun of weight. Su-young, not finished with his requests, held out another diagram. I'd like to order one more thing, he grinned, presenting his next invention. The length will be around 3 chiak. Roll up a steel plate and make it into a rod shape to make it lighter. Su-young mused, thinking of the possibilities. I'm doing this out of pure curiosity. I wonder if using the technology of this era, his eyes gleamed with excitement. I can create a rifle. The servant bowed deeply, clearly impressed by Su-young's eccentricities. His Majesty will be very delighted to see your virtuous heart. Su-young watched the servant leave, a thoughtful expression on his face. It seems Grand Prince Su-young's image was a complete idiot before I possessed his body, but it has changed for the better, hasn't it? Then, Su-young smiled, supremely confident. Things will return to the right path. Didn't I pull myself together and put things back the way they were? Haha, he turned to Ma Iliong. But Ma Iliong, you, suddenly, Su-young's eyes glowed with an unearthly light. Trainer eyes activated. He began to analyze Ma Iliong's physique. You have quite the physique, don't you? Scanning. Amazing shoulders and triceps brachii, sturdy lat muscles, assertive forearm muscles. Ma Iliong was taken aback. Pardon? I've been called strong bones since I was young, but Su-young's mind was already racing. He just can't become a government official because he's the child of a concubine, but he has the perfect talent for bodybuilding. A devilish grin spread across Su-young's face. I'd like to teach you to nurture your body as my first disciple. If you succeed, there won't be many people in Joseon whose body can compare to you. Ma Iliong was stunned by the offer. A disciple? Your Highness, how could I repay this kindness? Su-young simply chuckled. Haha, kindness, you say? Just believe in me. Ma Iliong could not even imagine his future. Your Highness the Crown Prince. You're here, you? Yes. Even when you look like you've lost weight, on the contrary, your upper body has gotten bigger, and your eyes look brighter. I'm even more curious about why you asked to meet me. It seems like my face color improved while making a new training method in place of hunting. Truthfully, the reason why I asked to meet you is because I want you to take a look at this, Your Highness. A new training method? And what's that? Su-young presents the Crown Prince with a box, inside which rests a golden protein bar. Su-young proudly presents his creation. It's called soap. Please try it out. The Crown Prince heads to the nearest water source to test out the new invention. He examines his hands, now sparkling clean. To think old dirt would come off so easily, what a truly magical object. But, he pauses, thinking about the cost. The price of camellia oil is certainly high. Su-young's wife overhears the conversation, and chimes in to correct him. No. If only expensive oil had been used, it would have cost about 4 mal of rice. But by mixing it with Avodia tree oil and others, the price only amounts to around 2 mal of rice. The Crown Prince nods thoughtfully. I see. Would you lend me a brush for a moment? He grabs a brush and prepares to use the soap for a very different purpose. Right, this should be good enough. The Crown Prince had an idea. Grand Prince Jingyang has created an object called soap that can wash away old dirt. In order to prevent the books from getting dirty, all officials must wash their hands with soap in the morning and evening. He continued, the way I see it, soap may be expensive, but people with money will certainly buy it. But since the efficacy of this item is unknown, no one may want to buy it. His advisor looked at him with a raised eyebrow. Are you making every official in the government office try the soap? If they wash their hands once, won't they want to wash their body too? A chibi version of Youngjik appeared in the corner of the panel, a light bulb flashing above his head. Is it like the free trial promotional strategy used in the modern world? Once soap spreads widely, and a lot of people create soap for their own use, I plan to impose a tax on them. That way, another source of tax revenue will be generated for the government. The advisor was impressed. Simply using soap to generate tax revenue. What a truly adaptable idea. He smiled, as expected from the son of the great king Sejong. No, is it Munjong of the future? Meanwhile, construction continued on the new gym. Meanwhile, some shady characters were getting grilled about a certain order. Are you sure these items were ordered by Grand Prince Jingyang? We're not lying at all, my lord. Of course you won't. Because if you lie, you guys know better than anyone what will happen. Take care, my lord. The order was clear. Melt away the items that Grand Prince Jingyang ordered at once. Pardon? It's just right before the decided date, though. The damage we suffer will be indescribable. The man was furious. Are you saying that mere money is more important than our lives? Hurry and do it, will you? The men denied any involvement. We never met Grand Prince Jin Yang. Whispers began to spread throughout the court. The second prince, who couldn't become the crown prince, spent his wealth to gather a large amount of iron, and was also busy training his body all day. The name on everyone's lips was clear: Grand Prince Jin Yang. A sinister smile spread across one of the court officials' face. You're finally— Have you heard that story? When I washed my hands with a thing called soap, the ink disappeared in an instant. Do you think it washes away only the ink? Even the facial grease disappeared right away. It's truly an odd item. However, do you know who created soap? Obviously, it's His Royal Highness the Crown Prince, isn't it? Hold on to your hat. It's none other than Grand Prince Jin Yang. What? But I thought he was only a troublemaker with a knack for miscellaneous matters. What an unbelievable story. Meanwhile, back in the gym, Soo-young pushed himself to the limit. 8, 9, 10 reps. 10 reps of bench press with 120 gun, or 45 kilograms. Soo-young mused that this progression made him feel like a bodybuilding deity who had descended to earth. One of his swole disciples watched in awe. You increased the bench press weight again, Your Highness. Soo-young wiped the sweat from his brow. How can I reduce the amount of effort I put in when training the body is an act of filial piety? Muscles are best. Muscles rock. He glanced over at his makeshift weights. The current appearance of my weights reminds me of the rusty barbell in the army gym, but they are still quite usable. There were some issues in the making process though. A blacksmith bowed apologetically. The rest of the big barbells couldn't be completed due to urgent matters, Your Highness. I will return all the silver tokens you paid. Soo-young considered the blacksmith's words. I heard he never misses deadlines. Was it difficult because of the new design? He turned to another craftsman. Now it's your turn. The craftsman stammered nervously. The craftsman, face contorted in agony, cried out. I think I'll be crushed by this weight at once. Soo-young, ever the supportive gym bro, encouraged him. Didn't I tell you? Body keeps seeking new stimuli? You need to use both your upper and lower body to perform a proper bench press. That's it. And again. You were right. Soo-young's wife watched with growing amazement. This is a truly mysterious phenomenon. I know that he always had an agile body, but it's impressive that he is trying to increase his strength to this extent. In this state, he might rival General Wanbang. Soo-young overheard her, face beaming with pride. Wanbang, you say? The craftsman, still struggling under the weight, groaned. Your Highness. Soo-young, lost in thought, mused. They say that from a young age, he accumulated military prowess, gaining fame under His Excellency Kim Jong-seo. Wouldn't it be nice to create the conducting oneself and preparing the body method exclusively for soldiers someday? He looked down at the struggling craftsman. I can win in terms of pure strength, but the moment he lifts a weapon, there'll be no chance for me at all. Meanwhile, a furious pounding echoed through Soo-young's residence, startling everyone. The doors shook violently under the assault. Soo-young, annoyed by the interruption, demanded, Who is it? Banging on Grand Prince Jin Yang's door like this? The doors burst open, revealing a group of officials, their faces grim. Their leader, a stern-faced man with a feathered hat, looked ready for a fight. The uninvited guests startled Soo-young's wife and servants. Soo-young's wife, caught off guard, asked with concern. What's going on? The official, seemingly unfazed by the chaos he caused, declared. Don't you know this is the Grand Prince Jin Yang's residence? Ma'am! Ha! Soo-young's wife stared back, a mix of shock and defiance in her eyes. Knowing it well, and yet acting like this. You must have fallen into it too, Your Highness. Startled, she gasped, caught off guard by the sheer audacity of the intrusion. Suddenly, one of Soo-young's swole guards intervened, effortlessly shoving the official aside. The official, sprawled on the ground, sputtered in disbelief. How could someone of my physical strength, from the very office of the Inspector General, be pushed away so easily? Soo-young stepped forward, his expression hardening. Don't you dare open your dirty mouth carelessly. Before Soo-young could continue, more officials charged into the courtyard, swords drawn and ready for a fight. Hey, the official, clearly regretting his life choices, pleaded. Oh my, that's enough. Another official chimed in, trying to sound reasonable. It's been a while since the hunting competition last year, Your Highness. Soo-young, flexing his newly acquired muscles, glared at the men. What on earth is going on? Your Excellency Isukchi? If you recklessly touch my people, I won't stay quiet. Isukchi, undeterred, pointed an accusing finger. Your Highness! How shameless and unaware of your own sins you are! With just one bar you are holding, 20 sabers can be made. He gestured wildly at the rack of weights. And you have 20 of those. What are you going to do with 400 military weapons? And is that all? Meanwhile, the captured disciple was dragged away, looking worse for wear. Isukchi continued his tirade, laying out the facts. Just 7 months ago, You were someone not interested in the subjects, and now you're actively providing them aid. Do you want to use them in an upheaval? Soo-young, his biceps straining against his traditional garb, was reaching his limit. What a sophistry! You can't consider that as evidence. You brought along soldiers to my house on mere suspicion. Even if you are someone from the office of the Inspector General, this is a blatant abuse of power. He was absolutely seething. Don't you dare bring an unsubstantiated claim. Isukchi just smiled, unconcerned. It's a rumor-based denunciation. Did you forget? We have always worked this way. Don't worry, the truth will be revealed soon. Soo-young pressed him, his voice dangerously low. What if what you claim isn't the truth? Isukchi's smile widened, a predatory glint in his eyes. I'm afraid that's unlikely to be the case. Until the truth is revealed, the interrogation of those around your highness won't end. Soo-young was speechless. He realized the gravity of the situation. Detention and interrogation, huh? Even if I say it's not true, they have no intention of stopping. A typical target investigation was underway. Soo-young was in disbelief. I haven't done anything wrong since possessing Grand Prince Jinyan, have I? And it's hard to know what happened between the real Grand Prince Jinyan and Isukchi. Damn. He furrowed his brow, deep in thought. Soo-young glanced down at the floor. What am I supposed to do with this? Just then, a voice called out to him. What is happening here? He turned to see his younger sister, her face etched with concern. Elder brother. Just then, a voice booms out, interrupting the tension. I heard negative rumors about you, so I came by in person. Your Royal Highness the Crown Prince. The Crown Prince eyes Soo-young warily. Although I believe that you had figured out a method for training your body, don't get too close. If that person dreams of an upheaval, who knows what he might do? Soo-young looks back, confused. That person? The Crown Prince's advisor steps forward, his gaze sharp. Watch your words, Inspector General. He's not that person, but his younger brother. The Crown Prince turns his attention back to Soo-young, gesturing towards the gym equipment. It's a common law for those who are unsatisfied with their relatives to use their wealth privately. You try to convince me about these devices. Soo-young's brow furrows as he responds, his voice firm. Even if one is family, the sin of going against it cannot be forgiven, and the same is true for someone who defames my sibling. The Crown Prince's threat hangs in the air. You too should risk your neck. With a resounding thud, Soo-young's feet hit the ground. Soo-young turns to the Crown Prince and his advisor. It's great that you are here. I needed to talk to you anyway. Soo-young gestures to one of his attendants. Bring me the conducting oneself and preparing the body. Yes, master. Soo-young explains his grand plan. The reason why I made and trained my body was to put it to use for something really important. He hands the book to the Crown Prince's advisor. First, please check my regimen. What is so important about it that you made a book? The advisor schemes through the pages. So you have concluded that nurturing a good body shape is an act of filial piety. Well, that isn't wrong, but the Crown Prince eyed the gym equipment with suspicion. I don't understand why you need such huge devices, he continued, clearly not impressed. Why would you go through such an inconvenience just to make one regimen? Soo-young turned to the Crown Prince, his expression serious. I think we should talk privately about it. As they walked, Soo-young lowered his voice. You also know that our father's health is deteriorating with each passing day. I shouldn't say this, but I'm sure he has a disease, the Crown Prince scoffed. It's just his age. You are overthinking it. If you really have medical knowledge, tell me what his illness is. Soo-young's advisor chimed in, equally concerned. Yes, Your Highness. You must have noticed that these days, his face looks feverish, and he sweats a lot even when it isn't hot. I'm sorry to say this, but Soo-young's face darkened. I suspect he has high blood sugar. Soo-young continued to explain his diagnosis. The cause of high blood sugar is excessive accumulation of yang qi, he elaborated. It's likely due to him consuming an excess of food beyond what is necessary. The Crown Prince listened intently as Soo-young laid out the facts. He doesn't even indulge in physical activities, so there is no way to release the yang qi. What's more, the high body temperature has affected his eyes and worsened his eyesight. Is that why you have been out to help people? I heard you were making a record after distributing food to the children. Is that act also related to our father? Soo-young confirmed his suspicions. Yes, I've concluded that a few bowls of rice and eggs are enough to make someone obese. What's going to happen to our father is quite obvious. That's why I am trying to make a record related to eating and working out, he added. And make our father see it himself. The Crown Prince, now understanding Soo-young's motives, addressed the Inspector General. Inspector General, get your men to step back. It seems like Prince Jinyan didn't have a bad intention. The Inspector General stood firm. We can't do that. The Inspector General was not backing down. Monitoring government administration, correcting the wrong, checking corruption, and arresting those involved is the mandate of the Office of Inspector General? Apologies, but I dare to remind His Majesty the Crown Prince that the King wouldn't want the Office of Inspector General to be weakened by power and unjust. He continued undeterred. All the outstanding officials of the Office of Inspector General ranging from senior rank 6 to junior rank 3 have gathered here. We also have a young officer who was recently inducted. Just because it was an order of the prince, how can we simply back out without knowing any details? What would the young officers learn from this act? The chief officer stepped forward, his expression resolute. I am the chief officer of the Office of Inspector General. He pointed a stern finger. If you still want me to step back from here, the Inspector General declared, you would have to kill me. The Crown Prince's face hardened as the Inspector General lectured him. Your Highness, you shouldn't take this matter lightly just because he is your brother. You are going to be the next king. The Inspector General, clearly not one to back down, declares, muster up your resolve and show the world how strict the law of this nation is. Isukchi, the Inspector General, may not have gotten to that position by luck, but he's definitely making a meal out of this. This has become a trial to test the capability of the Grand Prince. The Crown Prince, observing the escalating situation, says, I don't know about other things, but I think you have to explain why you need so much iron and so many devices. Suyang, seeing no other way out, responds, since push has come to shove. Yes, Your Highness. I will show you myself. He declares with unwavering resolve, I will prove it with my strength. Suyang explains his methods. Too much yang qi has accumulated in father's body and is now manifesting as the signs of aging. If we remove the excess qi through working out, he will get better. But we all know that he doesn't like moving, so what if we show him a strength he has never seen before? Don't you think it would motivate him? For example, showing the strength of Xiang Yu. If I can't convince them, it won't work for father either. So, I understand. Xiang, now with a clear goal, shouts out. Listen, Prince Jin Yang was inventing a regimen for the people's health. Those irons are his inventions to help that. You mean he really uses those to train his body? Those lumps of iron that look heavier than most of the cauldron? Just then, an idea sparked in the Crown Prince's mind. I've got a great idea. The reason why he is being suspected is because we don't understand how all those are used. He continued then, if he shows you how he trains himself with those, he can't be falsely accused anymore, right? What do you think? Anyone who would like to come forward? An official, face obscured by his hat, declared, let me challenge him. The man's eyes glinted with confidence. I have never lost to someone in strength. If he is found weaker than me, it'll prove that everything he said until now was a lie. Suyang cracked his knuckles, stepping forward. The crowd murmured in anticipation, eyes glued to his bulging biceps. He flexed his arm, muscles straining against his white robes, as the officials looked on with a mix of apprehension and excitement. The challenger, gritting his teeth, struggled to bench press the weight. Suyang explained the exercise. This training is called bench press. He elaborated on its benefits. It's for training arm, chest, and shoulder strength. The official, now lying on the bench, smirked. So in the end, all I have to do is to lift it with my strength, right? He taunted Suyang. You are talking too much, Your Highness. Are you worried that I might win? The official grunted with effort, his face contorting. He strained under the weight, struggling to lift the barbell. Sweat poured down his face as he pushed with all his might. It's heavier than it looks. But right now, the honor of the Office of Inspector General is in my arms. The official strained with everything he had, veins popping and muscles screaming. With a final, desperate heave, he managed to lift the weight. The onlookers were impressed. As expected of Senior. Then, what about Prince Jin Yang? The official's eyes widened, a bead of sweat trickling down his temple. He was starting to realize what he'd gotten himself into. Meanwhile, Suyang was already back at it, effortlessly pumping iron. The official watched in disbelief. Ha, you have been acting tough. But that's all you got? Suyang turned his gaze towards the official, his expression unreadable. The Crown Prince's words hung heavy in the air, a clear threat masked as with a clap of his hands, Suyang was ready to drop some knowledge. That was a really great performance, Your Highness. This is absurd. The defeated official was beside himself. I, who is invincible in the Office of Inspector General, lost in a contest of strength. Suyang began to lecture the crowd on the finer points of fitness. In physical fitness training, the number of repetitions depends on the goal of the training, and I can lift up to 175 gun at once, which he helpfully translated, 105 kilograms. The crowd was shocked. What? The official scoffed, trying to regain some dignity. Nonsense. Even if you won the contest, you can't just say such nonsense. That's enough. Let's go. We are leaving for today. But that doesn't mean you are out of suspicion. I will keep doing my job with all my effort. Suyang watched them go. So, the Inspector General was going to keep his eyes on him. He narrowed his eyes, a spark of determination in them. I will do the same. Anyway, I'm out of the immediate danger, and now elder brother is aware of King Sejong's illness. The Crown Prince's advisor bowed respectfully. I will also take my leave. Okay, Your Highness? Take care. Elder brother said he is going to help me with the making of the conducting oneself and preparing the body. This is really making the best of a bad situation. Suyang sighed in relief. This could have ended up worse. I am glad it was resolved well. He turned to his wife, a gentle smile on his face. Sorry, it must have surprised you. I should have been careful and discussed this with you earlier. No. I'm ashamed for not realizing your good motive. He took a step, but his legs wobbled beneath him. I won't let this kind of a thing happen, my legs. Like Manga.io. Suddenly, Suyang pulled his wife into a tight embrace, his biceps practically crushing her. She yelped in surprise. Wait. Dear. The royal servants were aghast at the public display of affection. You can't do this in the middle of the day. The Crown Prince's eyes narrowed with suspicion. How could you? Suyang's wife, cheeks flushed, stammered. Let's not do this here. We must go to the bedroom. Even the peanut gallery in the corner was shocked. What is this atmosphere? Don't tell me. This is... Probably. The scene cuts away, transitioning to a tranquil, peaceful village at sunset. Back in the palace, the Inspector General stood firm, unwavering in his resolve. I'm sorry about what happened. I will take full responsibility. Forget it. The Crown Prince, however, seemed unfazed by the whole ordeal. It's not like we didn't gain anything. What? Among those devices was an unusually thin and hollow item. It looked like a miniaturized and elongated chongtong. I have observed that he is interested in weird objects, so I'm sure he has ulterior motives. What if he is improving Seichongtong to develop a new form of artillery? A year ago, during the hunting contest, I clearly saw the true colors of that beast. That very Grand Prince Jinyang is creating conducting oneself and preparing the body as an act of filial piety. Ludicrous. I will be watching you, to uncover what you are hiding in that dark mind of yours. While Prince Jinyang was going about his daily life as usual, after a few days, news came that the smithy had resumed the construction of the devices. 3 months after. What did you just say? I wasn't feeling well, so I went to see a physician, and he said I'm pregnant. I think I got pregnant that day. Pregnant? My kid is 3 years old. I don't have the time to work out. The official continued to rant about fitness. Trust me, bro, your life will change if you exercise. Post-workout freshness is the ultimate nectar of life. It's all nonsense. I don't want to get nagged by a bastard who couldn't get married even until the age of 40. Suyang was taken aback. What are you saying? Don't you know I am married? I even have 2 wives. Honey dear Barbell and Dumbbell, he reminisced. A few days ago, I had such a life, but now, I'm a father? The woman beams, cradling her stomach with both hands. Suyang was stunned. Pregnant? Did you say pregnant? Dear, the official's eyes widened with excitement. We must inform His Majesty the King of such great news right away. The Crown Prince's advisor smiled serenely. It gives me immense pleasure to see you so happy, my dear. Let's go together and offer incense to deities, she declared. I have to be healthy in order to give birth to a healthy child, so I was also thinking about learning conducting oneself and preparing the body. We can start with simple posture to not wear you out, she instructs Suyang. Take in a slow and deep breath. Stretching isn't enough for safe birth, he recalls the grim statistics. After giving birth, the Crown Princess passed away due to childbed fever. That is how common maternal-fetal death is in this era. Postpartum infections, also known as puerperal fever, childbed fever, maternal sepsis, or maternal infection, are any bacterial infections of the female reproductive tract following childbirth or miscarriage. He brainstorms a solution. I think simply using alcohol for disinfection can help a lot. I guess I'll have to make that too. Just then, a servant arrives. Your Highness. We have a guest, he repeats the word. You said it's called sojigori. He examines the contraption. I had no idea a sojigori would have such a peculiar shape. Suyang explains the science behind his still. The design was developed by me. I want to obtain pure alcohol. So, I am using this thin and elongated tube part to condense the alcohol vapors into dew. He barks out an order. Bring me all the soju inside the house. A servant nervously responds, Yes, sir. The servants scramble to obey. Now that the distillation is done, I have to check for the purity of the alcohol. He carefully sets up his experiment. There are 2 cups of the same weight. I have filled 1 cup with water up to 80% of the cup. Suyang explains his methodology. The relative density of alcohol is roughly 0.8, so if the alcohol that I filtered is heavier or lighter than the water in the other cup, it would mean that I failed. The scale teeters slightly. The scale balances perfectly. It was a success. It worked. Disinfectant production. Successful. A lot of time has passed since I came to the Joseon era. I often thought, What if I suddenly returned to the modern era while working out? But such a thing didn't happen. I even wondered what happened to the present where I originally lived. Although these questions remained in the back of my head. After my child was born, I was completely absorbed into my life in the Joseon era. That's how fast the time passed by. Meanwhile, back in the royal court, Prince Jinyoung has made a great achievement recently. He has distributed soap among the civilian populace, enriching the royal treasury, and invented a disinfectant that helps with the wound. Thank you, Your Majesty, Soo-young modestly replied. I still have a lot to learn. I don't know how to react to your compliment. The king waved his hand dismissively. You don't have to be so humble. He continued, I will give you 200 niangs of silver as compensation for the cost incurred for making soap. Another court official chimed in. Not long ago, Prince Jinyoung had his first child. This is truly a blessing to our royal family. What's more, the princess returned to her usual life within a week. As such, the effectiveness of the disinfectant has been proven. The king declared, from now on, the disinfectant will be used to treat all newborns and mothers. The royal court responded in unison. Your wish is our command. The king let out a. The king turned his gaze towards Soo-young, a hint of admiration in his eyes. I thought you were just like my painful finger, but the king, impressed by Soo-young's display of strength and dedication to health, acknowledges him. You have matured. But suddenly, the scene shifts as an official cries out in alarm. Another official shouts, Your Majesty, it's March of the year 1438, and the king has collapsed. As the court scrambled to aid the fallen king, Soo-young worried, taking a sip of water. Father's illness has worsened. Fortunately, he quickly recovered this time, but uneasiness remains. How is he doing now? Soo-young continued to ponder the king's health. Thirst makes him drink a lot of water, and his eyesight has deteriorated to the point where he reads books by placing them close to his eyes. The official sighed. Even the decoction has had no positive effect. Soo-young pressed his brother for details. Elder brother, has father ever commented on his symptoms? I mean, things like seeing a hazy mist or some insects floating around? He recalled his own modern medical knowledge. It's what my grandpa mentioned when he suffered from diabetes. The crown prince shook his head. No, he never mentioned such symptoms. He usually said, It's frustrating that I can't see things far away. In that case, the situation isn't serious yet. This symptom may be a temporary consequence of overwork. What a relief. Still, we can't breathe easy. Retinal degeneration or cataracts are incurable in this era. If nothing is done, as history says, a year later, the great King Sejong would lose his eyesight due to complications. Mother's birthday is this September, right? I will create an opportunity to change father's mind that day. The crown prince tilted his head, curious. What on earth are you planning to do at her royal banquet? Soo-young smirked, thinking of his gains-filled plan. In conducting oneself and preparing the body, there are 3 exercises that use the heaviest weight. Soo-young laid out his ambitious plan. The key to saving the king lay in mastering the fundamentals, like the deadlift. Together, they're called the Big 3 exercise. At our royal mother's birthday banquet, I will perform with a total of 1,000 gun in the Big 3 exercises. 1,000 gun in the Big 3 exercises? Doesn't this weight sound ridiculous? The palace guards, who were ordered to try it, failed to lift even 600 gun in the Big 3. Up. How miserable! Your Highness, right now, I'm only at 900 gun. Achieving 1,000 gun is challenging even with all my strength, but I will make sure to succeed for father's sake. If that's your wish, I will also do my best to help. The current conducting oneself and preparing the body lacks a lot academically. I will make it a book that father will be satisfied with. So you must also devote yourself to your studies. Devote myself to studies? Didn't you write conducting oneself and preparing the body out of filial piety? At least, you should incorporate the content of all 13 classics. And as the author of conducting oneself and preparing the body, you also need to thoroughly understand them. Hold on. The only scriptures I inherited from the Grand Prince Soo-young's memory are the 4 books and 5 classics. Is the difficulty suddenly increased to the 13 classics? But I'm doing it all for the great King Sejong. Soo-young's face was a mask of determination. You can count on me, elder brother. When I achieve 1,000 gun in the Big 3 exercises, we will raise the topic of conducting oneself and preparing the body in front of father, and make sure he experiences your method. For the sake of our father's well-being. Cheers! Soo-young steeled himself for the challenge ahead. Now, I have to take on something really crazy. Increasing weight in the Big 3 exercises by 100 gun in 6 months is already a questionable thing to do. But even if I succeed, this body, laden with fat, won't be a compelling argument for the great King Sejong. Soo-young glanced at the mountains, a plan forming in his mind. I guess to flex my muscles in all their glory, I need to drop body fat by about 8 gun. And the best way to burn calories in this era is, of course, hiking. He began his ascent, his loyal companion struggling to keep pace. I hope this body's boundless potential will come handy because, from now on, all I can do is special training. The days blurred into a montage of sweat and study. From early morning hiking to working on conducting oneself and preparing the body. I don't even have the strength to turn a page. Man, I'm going to die. Memorizing all this sounds absurd. The king's collapse has thrown the palace into chaos, but Suyang is focused on the real issue, his gains. The cause of this situation, haha, father's blood flows in your veins, doesn't it? I finished the 3 classics in just 2 weeks, so you, considering your remarkable talent, should do it in 1. He looms over you, a glint in his eye. Don't tell me, you have complaints, you? Meanwhile, the sun sets on another day of hard work. Back in the palace, the dinner menu is revealed. Napa cabbage, cucumbers, beef rump, rice oatmeal. Suyang stares at the less than optimal meal, his wife looking on nervously. Is this really acceptable for you? He sighs, knowing what he has to do. Oats are something eaten to unavoidably fill the stomach. I have to prove my filial piety through the conducting oneself and preparing the body at mother's birthday. He clenches his fist, thinking of his mother. How much she must be worried, seeing my extra flab. Suyang's eyes blaze with determination. I'll eat like this until my filial piety is proved. His wife, witnessing his dedication, feels a pang of guilt. I'm only ashamed for not understanding your great ambition, my dear. Fearing that the beef rump might be bland without seasoning, I salted it apparently. It was all for nothing. She calls out to the servants. Are you there, Bangshil? Take away the table that has been served for my dear now and bring a new one. Make sure never to add seasoning to the food my dear will eat in the future. Never. But the damage is done. Blurg. Suyang stumbles outside, barely holding it together. Hugh. Despite the setback, Suyang is back at it, deadlifting with a vengeance. Undeterred by salty beef, Suyang decided to try some good old-fashioned rock climbing. Meanwhile, the crown prince was still plotting, poring over documents by candlelight. Back at the training grounds, Suyang and his men stood silhouetted against the sunset, their physiques more impressive than ever. His gains were undeniable, and time flew by quickly. Queen Sohyun's birthday banquet. Suyang struck a pose, showing off. Look at the fast body of this humble me. The king watched little Gu showing off his horseback riding skills, and chuckled. Little Gu's horseback riding talent has reached a new level. How commendable. Zooming in through the king's eyes, we see little Gu on horseback. The king watched with a smile. Meanwhile, the crown prince was still plotting. Your turn is the last, even among the royalty. Everyone thinks you're going to show off your body like street performers. Elder brother, have you mentioned conducting oneself and preparing the body to anyone else? Suyang listened intently. When I told the crown princess in the morning that you carried 300 gun, she didn't believe it and even got angry. So, just make our plan work out. The crown prince continued, and then, father will surely show interest in conducting oneself and preparing the body. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew. A voice echoes out, a thing I ask of you, you. The hooded figure you stands before a high-ranking official. His expression, the royal banquet is in full swing. Next is Grand Prince Jinyang. Suyang steps forward, ready to show off his hard-earned gains. Royal mother, I sincerely offer my congratulations on your birthday. The fact that I exist in this world is all thanks to the divine kindness of His Majesty the King and Your Majesty the Queen. With this in mind, I have created conducting oneself and preparing the body, which means a healthy discipline for self-establishment and development of a fit body. You, that huge iron object behind you, what exactly are you trying to show? I have prepared something small just to repay your kindness. This humble me is overwhelmed with myriad emotions. What I show you today is something bestowed upon me by both of you, my royal parents. I present to you this outstanding body. Queen Sohyun's birthday in the year 1438. The ceremony that altered the entire course of Joseon's history unfolds right here and now. The courtiers gawk, completely bewildered. I've never seen such a body in my life. Is this person the same Grand Prince Jinyang we know of? Suyang steps up to the bench press, a predatory glint in his eye. Well then, let's begin. The peanut gallery whispers in confusion. Begin what? What is he trying to do? Suyang lowers the gargantuan weight, his muscles straining against the load. He pushes with all his might. The onlookers are astonished by the sheer size of the weights. Those plates. Aren't they even larger than when I struggled with them? Suyang lowers the weight, his muscles screaming in protest. Whap! He pushes the weight back up, completing the rep. The courtiers are losing their minds. Wait, what? Where does he draw his strength from? His strength is incredible. The weight clatters back onto the rack. Sweat glistens on Suyang's chest as he sits up, invigorated. He explains the exercise. One of the important activities in conducting oneself and preparing the body is this exercise I call bench press. Through this movement, you can train your chest, shoulders, and arms. The Queen Mother clasped her hands together, still reeling from the display. I don't know what I just saw. An official nervously calculated the weight. How much does it all weigh? The iron bar is 40 gun, and the cylindrical plates combined are 240 gun. Altogether, it's 280 gun. The king's eyes widened in disbelief. 200? Soo-young, unfazed, moved on to the next exercise. Next is what I call squats. The weight clanged as he loaded up the bar. The weight clanged again. He positioned the barbell across his shoulders. It involves lifting a big barbell on the shoulders and using the power of the legs to sit down and stand up repeatedly. Of course, this technique trains not only the legs, but also the buttocks, waist, and lower abdomen. Suddenly, a shrill voice pierced the air. You! It's dangerous. Stop it right now! Ignoring the protests, Soo-young's eyes burned with determination. With 340 gun, I will now perform the squats. The translator notes that this is 127.5 kilograms. With a mighty roar, Soo-young began his squats. He gritted his teeth and pushed through the pain. Soo-young's eyes burned with intensity as he focused on the weight. His muscles strained, every fiber screaming in protest. With a final surge of power, he locked out the squat. 340 gun. Readers, do you even lift? The crowd erupted as he stood up. Physician Yang Hongsu. The king called out. Yes, your majesty, he stammered. One of the court officials was dumbfounded. Is that possible with a human body? This servant doesn't know either, but I speculate. It seems to be related to the so-called healthy discipline. The last activity is called the deadlift, and for it, the heaviest big barbell is used. You mean it isn't over yet? Even a heavier one. That's absurd even in words. Father, excuse me for speaking up. I'm concerned that Yu's waist may be injured. With your permission, I will take some measures for a moment. Soo-young, not wanting to see Yu's spine turned into dust, quickly ran to his side with a weightlifting belt. Soo-young quickly strapped the weightlifting belt around Yu's waist, hoping to prevent any spinal mishaps. He stepped back, a bead of sweat trickling down his temple as he watched Yu prepare for the lift. Soo-young's muscles bulged as he prepared to witness this feat of strength. With a mighty roar, Yu hoisted the weight. This weight is 400 gun. That's 150 kilograms. Soo-young, emboldened by the display, addressed his parents directly. Father! Mother! Since you bestowed on humble me a body capable of using such might, I will continue to properly nurture it and fulfill filial piety. Somewhere far away, a giant wheel turns, hinting at things to come. The court officials whispered amongst themselves, eyes wide with disbelief. The Grand Prince Jin Yang must have lost his mind. 400 gun? Daily struggling with that iron thing, he went beyond ordinary madness. Soo-young, though pleased with the result, knew the truth. If I hadn't lost weight, I could have handled even more than 400 gun. But this weight is overwhelmingly heavy for my current body. He glanced at the waistband supporting his lift. Although the waistband makes it a bit easier, this plan is still totally absurd. His goal flashed before his eyes, achieving 1,000 gun in the big 3 exercises in just 2 years, 375 kilograms in total. Well, it can't be helped. I have no choice but to use the sumo deadlift. Soo-young adjusted his stance, preparing for the Herculean task ahead. He gritted his teeth, his eyes blazing with determination. Soo-young's grip tightened around the bar, knuckles white. The weight strained against gravity, groaning under the pressure. It's going up. Is it really possible for that heavy mass of iron to be lifted solely with one person's strength? And with a final surge of power, the weight crashed back to the ground. Soo-young's hands, though victorious, dripped with the price of his ambition. The crowd was left in stunned silence. With the weight down, Soo-young stood tall. Among the crowd was silent, unsure what to make of this display of strength. Soo-young's hands, however, were screaming in pain. Blood dripped from his torn palms. The queen, witnessing this madness, gasped. Royal Mother! The weight crashed to the ground with a resounding boom, shaking the very foundations of the palace. The force of the impact pulverized the stone floor. The court officials looked on in stunned disbelief. The queen's attendant looked like she was about to faint. The queen, utterly bewildered by the display of raw power, could only stammer. My dear! Soo-young stood there, a mountain of muscle, the very embodiment of physical prowess. He turned to his mother, realizing she was inspecting his torn hands. Royal Mother! The queen, holding his bloodied hands, began to speak. You've been using those irons daily for 2 years, so your hands are like this now. What do you mean by that talk of filial piety? But then, a surprising change of heart washed over her face. In all my life, I've never seen a greater manifestation of it than yours. Tears streamed down her face as she continued. Seeing you train your body to this extent makes my tears flow incessantly. Soo-young, touched by his mother's unexpected reaction, responded softly. Mama! The queen's praise wasn't the only reaction. One of the onlookers was still reeling from the visual feast he had just witnessed. I know that those who have mastered martial arts may show visible muscles on their abdomen, but to have such distinct texture. Look at how the muscles inside are moving. King Sejong, visibly impressed, chimed in. Indeed. You have personally proved the conducting oneself and preparing the body regimen. You've truly worked hard. But then, the king's expression turned serious. I have one thing I want to ask. What is the purpose of the healthy discipline you demonstrated on this occasion? Soo-young, with a confident smirk, replied, to establish myself and perfectly prepare the body you both bestowed upon me. The king raised an eyebrow, a hint of concern in his voice. Perfectly prepare the body, huh? Is lifting 1,000 gun, like you did today, the standard? In that case, I'm afraid that conducting oneself and preparing the body might persecute those lacking strength. Soo-young quickly reassured him. There's nothing like that. I started this discipline to get rid of the excess fat hanging around my abdomen. My strength only naturally increased during that process. He flexed his arm, veins popping. In just 3 months, my limbs moved smoothly, and fatigue disappeared. King Sejong nodded thoughtfully. Yes, I know that you and the Crown Prince authored books on this. I will read it and distinguish between right and wrong. Let's discuss conducting oneself and preparing the body at the palace later. Soo-young beamed, clearly pleased with the king's response. Your royal grace knows no bounds, the king continued. Besides, your royal title, the Grand Prince Jinyang, doesn't seem satisfactory. He gestured regally. Since you invented the healthy discipline and reached its peak, I suggest taking Su from Suiyangbu to name you. And with that, a new title was bestowed upon the swole prince. The Grand Prince Soo-young. Under the silent gaze of the moon, the palace stood still, unaware of the seismic shift that had just occurred within its walls. The king picks up the book, clearly impressed. This book is truly extraordinary. He looks up at his son, a flicker of suspicion in his eyes. Even though you lend him a helping hand, since when did you read widely to become this knowledgeable? Soo-young bows slightly, maintaining his innocent facade. This humble son of yours has also read this book and marveled many times. I simply compiled the regimen you managed to create into these books. The king's eyes narrow as he flips through the pages. Unlike other books, there's a diagram he specifically put at the end of volume 1. Alright. Today, I'll check just this one. He begins to read. Changes in eating habits and body as seen through the growth records of children in Gaichin. Gathering and analyzing data when making policies is quite like me. The king continues to read, his brow furrowing in concentration. If you cook rice with 1 mal of grains, 17 L 6 kilograms, an adult can eat it for 10 days, while children can fill their stomachs for twice as long. On the other hand, overeating results in excess fat. A spoonful of sesame oil every day overflows children's bodies with strength. The king's eyes widen in horror as he finishes the passage. Meanwhile, a person with a full stomach gains over half a gun of excess fat in a month. Excess fat, excess fat. The king had been swayed, but what did the crown prince think? How was it, elder brother? What did father say? Well, he decided to give the conducting oneself and preparing the body a try. Is that true, elder brother? Soo-young grinned, gesturing to his makeshift gym. As you can see, I'm fully prepared. Soo-young continued, today is the first day, so I will only explain the posture. However, with national affairs overflowing at the moment, it was suggested to wait for an auspicious day before continuing further discussions. The crown prince looked utterly deflated. Huh! Soo-young's face darkened. What auspicious day is he talking about when, after a few months, his eyesight will deteriorate to the point of blindness? I'm tired today. Bring me a plate of grain syrup. He knew what he had to do. There is a saying, the hardest part of a fit lifestyle is getting started. If the great King Sejong won't come to me, I have no choice but to visit him myself. With that, Soo-young stormed off. You! Wait for me. He arrived at the palace. Your Highness! What is this? The guards tried to stop him. There are do's and don'ts in the palace. Please stand up. Soo-young was not having it. Force me out with all your physical strength, if you can. The guards struggled, but Soo-young was immovable. Grand Prince! Don't do this! His Highness will be arriving at the palace soon. Just then, a booming voice echoed through the palace grounds. What's the mess going on here? The king arrived, his face a mask of royal disapproval. He glared at Soo-young. Creating a disturbance in the royal palace in broad daylight? Have you forgotten your dignity? Soo-young wasn't deterred. Father! There is something that really needs to be discussed. The king sighed, already knowing where this was going. I'm certain it's about conducting oneself and preparing the body, isn't it? Besides, I've already read it. And I'm sure I express the will to experience it when I have time. I shed tears of gratitude for father's immense generosity. However, Soo-young cut him off, undeterred. The right approach to conducting oneself and preparing the body is starting from today, and doing it consistently. The king recoiled, sparks flying around him. Let's start exercising? He repeated, exasperated. I said I'm busy. The king narrowed his eyes. Tell me, Grand Prince Soo-young, did you write conducting oneself and preparing the body, suspecting that I had an illness? Soo-young stood his ground. I meddled because signs were appearing. It says in books that the most proper thing is to treat the illness in advance. The king immediately called upon the physician. Physician Yang Hongsu. What signs of illness do you see in me? Physician Yang Hongsu stammered. The only matter of concern is that your majesty the king perspires profusely and drinks a lot of water. Suyang watched the exchange, knowing he had to push harder. It's obvious why the great king Sejong brought along the physician. Did you hear what he said? He says there are no special signs of illness. He thought to himself, he must have already read the annexure diagram and conducting dressing and preparing the body and have been seriously contemplating his illness. It's just that he hates exercising. Therefore, all we need is one final blow. Suyong pressed on, considering the symptoms. I guess that father's illness might be similar to high blood sugar, so I tried to put my body in a similar condition. One of the court officials was shocked by Suyong's bold claim. What? Meanwhile, Suyong stood tall, his muscular frame gleaming in the sunlight, a stark contrast to the frail scholars around him. The crown prince was taken aback. Suyong declared, I've put my body into a condition similar to Sogul. The court official sputtered, What? Ignoring the outbursts, Suyong explained, Sogul is a disease where an excess of yang qi destroys the body. As we know, sugar is also used as a medicine to make up the yang qi. Eating too much grain syrup or taffy can cause temporary Sogul. As a result of experiencing Sogul this way, I often became extremely thirsty and drank up to a bucket of water. Moreover, my vision often went dark due to excessive fatigue, and I fell asleep on the spot. Suyang turned to the king, his expression serious. These symptoms, are they the same as the ones you experienced, father? He thought to himself, of course, I was lying when I said I made myself fall into Sogul. I just recited the knowledge about diabetes from the modern world to convince the great King Sejong. Of course, I can lie this much. Unknown to him, he even got his brother deceived unintentionally. He thinks to himself, when did this bastard do that? 5 days. Very well. If I see no improvement in 5 days, I shall charge you with the crime of deceiving the king. Of course, father. At this rate, my whole insides will be twisted. Suyang corrected the king's form. Father, you must not crouch your body. The crown prince watched in disbelief. That. He's saying that again. He'd nag at me if I got the position just a bit wrong. Please straighten your body and strengthen your back. The king was starting to get fed up. How long do I have to keep doing this? Suyang finally relented. Father, an hour has passed, so we can wrap up here. The king was overjoyed. Very well. That's the most delightful thing you've said. Suyang crushed his hopes immediately. I was talking about the warm-up. The king groaned as he was forced to continue lifting. The king, though exhausted, was starting to see the light. Father, he grunted with effort. You must exhale when exerting your strength and inhale when relaxing. Ha! I get it. Suyang continued to coach him through the workout. Doing 24 repetitions of that should be enough. Please press your back firmly against the bench. Please mind the width between the legs. Please don't lean your upper body forward. Blah 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 blah. Just then, the royal meal arrived. Your Majesty, we will bring the royal meal. Oh, right. Hurry, bring it here. The spread was laid out before the king. He stared at the less than appetizing food. He picked at the rice with disgust. What is with this rice texture? Eating horse feed would be better than this. The king slammed his spoon down in disgust. Is anyone there? Bring the royal chef here at once. A servant rushed to his side, bowing deeply. Yes, your Majesty. Is the royal chef here? The king was furious. Take these away at once and bring me my usual food. What is this nasty joke you're playing? He continued to rant about the new diet. Where did the meat in the soup go? And why are there only tofu and slices of radish? And the one piece of meat here has no fat at all. I can't even eat it. He shoved the tray away in anger. Just throw these for the horses to eat. How disgraceful! Just then, Suyang entered the room, unfazed by his father's outbursts. Does the food not fit to your taste, father? The king was shocked by his son's arrival. I specially curated this royal meal for you. Suyang continued to sell the new diet to his father. To control sugar levels, both grain syrup and honey were removed. The perfect royal meal. Please believe in your son. You will not gain weight. Germinated brown rice keeps you feeling full for a long time, and tofu is a helpful substitute for meat. The king, however, was not convinced. But it's not delicious at all, is it? Suyang was ready with a counter-argument. Father, forgive me for saying this, but didn't you agree to absolutely follow my words for the next 6 months? He even quoted Confucius. I learned from the Analects that a wise man regards promises as high as his life. Suyang laid down the law. I'm even prepared to take all my family members and be exiled for the rest of my life in 6 months. But can you not keep your promise for even 6 months? The king sighed, defeated. Who does he resemble for being so strong-headed? Later that night, the king sat alone, writing furiously by candlelight. The king, exhausted, tries to focus on his calligraphy, but his hand tremors betray his fatigue. He barks an order. I move the brush incorrectly, so have the paper manufactory send a new one. A courtier replies, at your command. The king laments his weak state. Having repeatedly done those lifts, I don't even have the power to hold the brush. Meanwhile, Suyang continues to pump iron. The king wonders, it's been 2 weeks since I've been doing that thing he calls conducting oneself and preparing the body. But what is the meaning of all this? Back in his chambers, the king stares blankly at the scroll, lost in thought. He calls out, desperate. Is anyone there? Bring me some SNA-. Suddenly, a single, bloodshot eye peers through the lattice of the door, watching him intently. The king recoiled, startled by the sudden interruption. A courtier peeked through the door. I apologize, your majesty. I wondered if something was up since you stopped between your words. The king waved him off. Forget it. You may leave. You, that bastard might even appear in my dreams now. The candle flickered, casting long shadows in the room. The king slumped back, defeated. I can't perform my political duties because of that brat's exercise. Had I not promised him, I would have stopped this long ago. Meanwhile, the moon hung high in the sky, a silent witness to the royal suffering. Elsewhere in the palace, 2 court ladies exchanged worried glances. The court ladies whispered, watching the king sleep soundly. This is a big deal. His Majesty usually tells the attendants to leave because he snores, doesn't he? Just 2 weeks ago, he couldn't breathe well and kept tossing and turning. The king slept peacefully, a rare sight indeed. Meanwhile, Suyang and his swole guards were in the middle of an intense workout session. The royal bodybuilders beamed. Congratulations. The king continued to sleep, unaware of the gains being made in his name. The title card appeared, the result of 1 month of conducting oneself and preparing the body. Suddenly, a guard peeked through the door. Who's there? Meanwhile, the guard watched the king, noticing something strange. Is he asleep? The training dummy seemed to stare back with glowing red eyes. What's that now? The king mumbled in his sleep. Hi. How did my second son look like again? No, did I even have a second son? Hi, he continued, still lost in his dream. Wait, are you saying that I'm married? When? Year 1434, you say? The king's dream turned into a nightmare. Isn't that the deadline for the armillary sphere production, brat? He was clearly terrified of something. Hi, His Majesty, my Majesty, once the self-striking water clock is done, he's going to kick me out, isn't he? No, the king's eyes snapped open, a manic grin spreading across his face. Hi. I knew it. Aren't you the subject of His Majesty the king? The king, still shaken from his nightmare, wondered, where did my life go wrong? Hi. He suddenly snapped to attention, bowing obsequiously. Your grace is immeasurable, your Majesty. He. Huh. Your Highness the Grand Prince. Since when were you here? Jang Yungshil offered a nervous smile. I apologize for showing an unfavorable side of myself. What brings you here? Second Deputy Commander Jang Yungshil, a true genius who went from a slave to being promoted very quickly to the position of a third-rank official. As a royal engineer who contributed significantly to the development of Joseon, Sejong the Great. Even in modern times, he's often mentioned as an excellent scientist. But somehow, his image looks different from what I imagined. Are scientists like this? POV of a history major. I'd like you to make something for me. This is a royal order by His Majesty the King. Royal order. Royal? Did I say something wrong? Calm down. I haven't even gotten to the main point. Who wouldn't? I clearly saw how your Highness looked at that time. You were truly amazing. This will make the talking fast then. His Majesty is learning conducting oneself and preparing the body. But the problem is days are getting colder, and he can't go outside. We must prepare for the upcoming winter too. Since he says he can't go outside, I'd like to request you to create something that can make it feel like he's running in a field even when in the room. Jang Yungshil explained, it's a device that I've never made in my life, so I need some time to understand it. I have a mountain of backlog work, so I may only be able to make it after a few years. Even if it's Jang Yungshil, it will be hard for him to reenact the treadmill of the modern day. Suyong sighed, I guess I'll have to find a better way if it's going to take that long, because His Majesty is suffering greatly from conducting oneself and preparing the body. Suyong pictured the king collapsed on the floor. Thinking about the pain that His Majesty is going through, it may still be too early for him to use the steps device. The pain? Jang Yungshil tilted his head. Isn't the regimen of conducting oneself and preparing the body a method of making the body healthy? Don't get me started. The weights increase the higher the level. Suyang shuddered, remembering his own training. There were many times when I felt excruciating pain in my arms and legs, and my stomach turning upside down and vomiting. Even now, thinking about back then makes me shudder. Jang Yungshil gulped, sweat beading on his forehead. Wait, is this thing called conducting oneself and preparing the body that agonizing? I'd like to refuse it if it were up to me. Jang Youngshil shrugs, a bead of sweat trickling down his temple. But ho, I have no choice but to get it done quickly because it's a royal command, don't I? He turns to Suyang with a determined look. I am going to draw the draft right away. Why don't you follow me? Suyang raises an eyebrow, surprised by the sudden change in pace. Huh? Didn't you just say it'd take a few years for you to start making it? Jang Youngshil explains the limitations of the materials. If we make it with a wooden board like in the picture, it will break quickly, but if we make it with a steel board, it will be 10 times heavier. Unless it's someone as strong as you, it'll be difficult to even make it move. He presents his design. So this is the shape that I think. Suyang examines the drawing, a thoughtful expression on his face. As expected, Jang Youngshil confidently states, very well. It'll take around 1 month, won't it? Without fancy decorations, 10 days will be enough. Suyang is taken aback. It only takes 10 days? You said you had a mountain of work to do. Jang Youngshil, dripping with sweat, assures him, since a royal order is strict, I must work until my bones break. Just leave it to me. 10 days later, Suyang and the Crown Prince stand before a massive contraption. So this is that thing you call the steps device, the Crown Prince observes. He places a hand on the wood, testing its sturdiness. It's a relief to still be able to exercise inside the palace in the middle of winter, but I'm worried because father is the first one to use it. Suyang flexes, confident in his creation. You don't need to worry too much, brother. I've tested it in advance, and there's no problem with the device function at all. How long has it been? The Crown Prince sighs. It'd be nice if everyone was like you, but it hasn't been long since father started learning conducting oneself and preparing the body. It'd put my mind to rest if someone who usually does not train could try it in advance. Suyang grins, an idea forming. Ah, I happen to know someone perfect for that. The Crown Prince's eyes narrow suspiciously. Don't tell me, are you talking about me? You should not make jokes like that. Jang Youngshil's face contorted in a mask of forced agreement. I don't know about anyone else, but I resemble father in the sense that I detest exercising. Time seemed to blur as Jang Youngshil continued his workout of doom. Sweat pouring down his face, he cried out, Is it enough now? It feels like 1 hour has passed since I'm using this. Suyang was unsympathetic. Only a quarter hour has passed. We still have another quarter left. Only that much time has passed? Jang Youngshil was then forced onto the bench press. Why do I have to do the bench press too? Suyang beamed, completely ignoring the man's suffering. To think someone with a good figure like yours isn't conducting oneself and preparing the body is such a pity. Just 3 more presses. Let's add 3 more. Jang Youngshil's face turned red with exertion and despair. Is this brat set on butchering me? 12 added with 3 makes 15. But how could you want me to add 3 more to that? Suyang loomed over Jang Youngshil, who was struggling with the bench press. Your muscles tell me you can do it 3 more times, brother. I'm going to send you to the teaching official and make him teach you how to count. The camera panned up to the palace roof as Jang Youngshil, utterly defeated, could only plead. Tell me honestly. Jang Youngshil, now doing squats with the barbell, questioned Suyang's motives. I did 12 repetitions of squats earlier. But you're planning to deceive me like during the bench press and keep increasing the number, aren't you? Suyang grinned, his eyes gleaming with maniacal fitness energy. My calculation method changes depending on how your muscles look, brother. If you maintain the right position, the number will never increase. There's no calculation method like that in this world. Suddenly, Jang Youngshil's form faltered. Brother, your knees gave out. Again, Suyang continued to berate him. Your back is tilted too far forward. Again. Jang Youngshil, tears streaming down his face, begged. Why you? Please go back to your kind self before. Suyang's face contorted into that of a demon. I can be an evil spirit for the sake of your body, brother. I'll take it that you'd be conducting oneself and preparing the body now. Jang Youngshil, still struggling with the squats, could only manage. What? Meanwhile, back at the palace, sweating and panting, King Sejong was running on the treadmill. There are 15 minutes left now. Suyang watched his father with pride. The great King Sejong was out of breath even just by running 15 minutes at first, but now, even 1 hour is easy for him. He continued, thinking of Jang Youngshil. Brother too, who at first could only do 12 proper bench press reps. This family's talent is undoubtedly on a different level. Suyang knew that Jang Youngshil was essential to his plan. The second deputy commander played a considerable role. Suyang recalled his conversation with Jang Youngshil. It is already excellent that he could make the steps device with the technology of this era. I am asking this request. But he asked for a field study to find areas for improvement. Suyang thought about the man who would make his vision a reality. Zhang Yongshil. He stood before the scientist, contemplating. I was wondering if his image was different compared to the image in history. He watched Zhang Yongshil tinkering with the armillary sphere. But as expected from the best scientist of Joseon, Suyang observed Zhang Yongshil's dedication. He's got an extraordinary sense of responsibility. Meanwhile, two concerned court officials whispered among themselves. Didn't His Majesty lose a lot of weight recently? One of them continued, his brow furrowed with worry. I'm worried if he's sick or something. Is that all? Meanwhile, one of the court officials was getting worried. He thought, he was so tired of exercising with Grand Prince Suyang that he didn't put the political affairs on the back burner. Another official chimed in, it is His Majesty's nature to learn any new subject of study so that he feels satisfied. Grand Prince Suyang is making good use of that trait. The Crown Prince overheard their conversation. Everyone is speaking that way, Your Highness the Crown Prince. I didn't tell Your Highness in case you'd be worried, but His Majesty may have progressed to Sogol. To think his body has become so emaciated even before 3 months have passed. The Crown Prince tried to reassure him. Please don't say things like that. Not only you, but I also lost some extra fat since I started exercising. Father is just going through the same thing. But the official was not convinced. But isn't the symptom of Sogol also rapid loss of fat? That's, the other official agreed, as expected. I can't believe this. To think the regimen for the body's health actually harms health. We must put up a remonstrance asking His Majesty to stop it at least today. Just then, a booming voice interrupted their plotting. What is all this fuss about? The two officials turned to see who was approaching. They gasped in unison. Your Majesty? Suyang's booming voice echoed through the courtyard. Your Majesty? What is this fuss all about? Realizing they'd been caught red-handed, the officials quickly tried to backpedal. We shall be taking our leave here. Suyang watches them scurry away, then turns to you. You're here, you? The officials are whispering, convinced that the king's transformation is a sign of his deteriorating health. Yu tries to reassure him. I don't think you have to worry about it. According to the royal clinic records, he may be sweating a lot. Still, the amount of water consumed has actually decreased. But the Crown Prince remains unconvinced. But if it is really a symptom of Sogol, we're only halfway of the promised 6 months. Suyang is resolute. Please wait and see, brother. Muscles do not betray. Time seems to be flying by. Suyang looks up at the falling snow. Time is going very fast. My life in the 21st century feels like a dream now. Just then, someone notices him. Isn't this His Highness the Grand Prince? As snow fell softly, Suyang was confronted by a court official, his face etched with concern. You entered the office again even before the sun rose this morning. Suyang turned to face the man. Talk about yourself, Inspector General. What brings you so early here today? The Inspector General replied, Hasn't His Majesty been complaining of fatigue recently, and has less time to engage in political affairs? I came here to lift His Majesty's burden, even if it's just a little bit. Suyang smiled, seemingly touched by the sentiment. You're working really hard. Inspector General, both you and I want to protect His Majesty's health. You don't know how relieved I am. Suyang pressed further, his eyes gleaming with intent. Therefore, do you have any plans in conducting oneself and preparing the body? The Inspector General balked at the suggestion. Unfortunately, I have important work to do. Therefore, I don't have the leisure to put my effort into your regimen. As someone who serves as an official, I can't only be thinking about my own safety, can I? Suyang continued to press the Inspector General, arguing, I'm not as well versed as the Inspector General when it comes to affairs involving public service. But if you just spend 2 hours exercising, you'll be able to devote yourself even more to public service for the remaining 22 hours. The Inspector General, clearly not convinced, retorted, it may be the opposite case. 22 hours of public service may be ruined due to those 2 hours. Suyang, feigning concern, insisted, I'm just wishing the best for His Majesty's health too. Suyang turned and began to walk away, his boots crunching in the thick snow. Suyang paused, a subtle threat hanging in the air. The 6 months that you promised will be over soon too, he finished, turning back to face the Inspector General with a knowing look. The scene shifts to a grand building, its purpose looming large, Office of Inspector General. An organization that investigates the misconduct of all high-ranking officials and denounces them. Meanwhile, Suyang's boots echoed through the halls of power. The Office of Inspector General was a place where impeachment was based on hearsay. High-ranking officials can be impeached even just based on rumors, not requiring evidence for a claim. It is okay to not provide any basis for their claim. They followed only the principles and were objects of fear to officials. Tomorrow is finally the day of the military training. You must make a decision now. Please reconsider, Your Majesty. What brings you in such a hurry here? The officials, clearly not fans of gains, immediately demanded. Please stop the regimen of conducting oneself and preparing the body, one of them argued. All disciplines may take time to master. However, the severity of the issue is different. Your Majesty, political duties are more important than anything, and exercising is just a light matter. Although you have never neglected your political duties due to exercising, the king must always set an example for his officials and ministers. They continued their remonstrance. We are worried that you are learning a strange miscellaneous discipline and going against the established principles. Soo-young was not impressed. That's the problem with you, Inspector General. Always asserting only your principles. At times, I wonder if you're showing your loyalty. Or challenging the king. Soo-young wasn't backing down. Principles, you say? The reason I learned conducting oneself and preparing the body is to improve my body and set an example at military training. The Inspector General was horrified. No, it is too dangerous. Military training is a law created by the great King Taejo, he continued. If you are not good at horseback riding, you may fall in danger. Even young people take 1 year to shoot an arrow on top of a running horse. Soo-young was ready with a counter. In that case, keep a soldier from the royal guards by my side to prevent accidents. If your posture is unstable, I won't even move forward, so don't worry, the Inspector General stammered, clearly flustered. But, if I... Soo-young cut him off, his voice firm. If I set an example at the military training, the effectiveness of conducting oneself and preparing the body will be proven. Soo-young smiled, thinking so at that time. I hope you all do at least half of what I did. The Inspector General balled his fists, thinking, Your Grace is immeasurable. The day of military training had arrived in Chowan County, Gangwon Province. The king, astride his horse, declared, I will personally inspect the line and then carry out the military training. An officer relayed the order. Make sure all soldiers move according to the suit. The king continued to bark orders. We must move in unison. Do you understand? The soldiers responded with a resounding, Yes, Your Majesty. 2 officials watched with surprise. Has His Majesty ever moved so busily? One of them wondered. He has participated in military training for over a decade, but I've never seen him that way. The Inspector General and his companion watched the king in disbelief. Even during the last military training, he only gave orders from the palanquin, didn't he? The drums began to beat. Then, begin the military training. Beat the drum. March forward. Meanwhile, King Sejong was feeling the burn as he rode. It was worth riding the horse for 2 hours daily with that brat. He thought back to Taejo's advice. That's right. I finally understand why Taejo, lying in the royal tombs, told me to enjoy horseback riding. After nurturing the body like this, it feels rewarding to step up into military training, doesn't it? The Crown Prince, watching his father's newfound vigor, was astonished. I never would have dreamed father riding the horse this intensely. Suddenly, a wild boar burst from the underbrush. The king squinted, barely believing his eyes. How could I be seeing something so far away? Seizing the moment, the king demanded. The bow! Give me the bow and arrow! He added. Yes, father! Soo-young watched, a smirk playing on his lips. Are you not participating in the hunt with His Majesty, Inspector General? I have another prey, so you should go first. The Inspector General glared, his eyes filled with suspicion. Grand Prince Soo-young, I have no idea what you're planning by hiding your wicked nature of the past, but I have never forgotten about your vicious nature. You're the seed of trouble that will harm His Majesty. Soo-young, unfazed by the accusation, thought to himself. In essence, military training is training to prepare for war. And anything can happen in war. His expression hardened, a dangerous glint. The Inspector General's words hung in the air, dripping with venom. Grand Prince Soo-young, you're the seed of trouble that will harm His Majesty. Then, Soo-young notched an arrow, his eyes locked on his target. He drew back the bowstring, aiming with deadly precision. Got it! His Majesty has caught a wild boar. Congratulations, Your Majesty. The crowd was stunned. It is as if we're seeing the military training of the great King Taejo. The king's horse reared back, narrowly avoiding trampling the boar. He landed hard, his boots sinking into the dirt. The Crown Prince rushed forward, shouting, Father! The Inspector General was right behind him, a look of panic on his face. Your Majesty, are you all right? Are you hurt somehow? But the king just started laughing. Ha ha! The Crown Prince was bewildered. Ha ha! Father? The king, dusting himself off, declared, Never once have I ever hit the target with a bow. But I'm only realizing the fun of horseback riding and hunting now that I'm older. An official nervously replied, Your Majesty, please take care of your body. The king chuckled, Ha ha, I know. The Inspector General watched with narrowed eyes. Your Majesty, he muttered suspiciously, his face contorted in silent rage. Meanwhile, the Crown Prince reached out to help his father. Father, please stand up carefully, he said, offering a steady hand. The king, accepting his son's help, proclaimed, I prove that conducting oneself and preparing the body is not a simple regimen. The king, having proven his point in the most strenuous way possible, declared, Now that I've done what you all said was impossible, it's your turn to keep your promise now. You all must become experts in conducting oneself and preparing the body now. The officials, realizing they have no escape, responded, "We receive your command, your majesty." Later, a craftsman approached Suyang. "The first device out of the things you've asked is here." He gestured towards a strange contraption. "It is called lat pull-down." Suyang cracked his knuckles. "You've really worked hard. Then, shall we?" He gripped the bar, muscles bulging with anticipation. With a grunt, Suyang began his set. Hup! 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 How long has it been since I last did a set of lat pull-downs? What do you think, Your Highness? Sorry. I was going to just test it out, but it happens to be a back day. This should greatly help train my back. I've learned a lot of things from Your Highness too. For example, like applying the method of using a moving pulley to another device. What? Jang Youngshil is learning from me? Come to think of it, the technology of moving pulleys wasn't widely used in this era, was it? I tried using the device, but it felt like my underarms would get torn apart. I shudder at the thought of the hardships His Majesty must endure while using this device. The second deputy commander grits his teeth, his face a mask of forced compliance. However, since it is a royal order, I have no other choice. Suyang's smile widens, his eyes gleaming with amusement. Are you really doing this because you have no other choice? Suyang moves on, already thinking about the next torture device. The next device would be the leg curl. He assures the craftsman, leg curl is easy to make, so 1 month should be enough to create it. Suyang pats the second deputy commander on the shoulder. You are going through a lot of trouble, second deputy commander. I'll tell His Majesty to let you take a vacation once the leg curl production is complete. The deputy commander refuses. No. He launches into a speech, declaring, I am greatly indebted for His Majesty's kindness in letting me hold a governmental post from being a lowly slave. How would I dare to enjoy the luxury? The deputy commander, still reeling from the intensity of the training, can only think about how fulfilling it is to see His Highness doing his exercises and recovering his health. Meanwhile, the leg curl machine is complete, looking suspiciously like a chair used when playing drums. The deputy commander is looking forward to how much health it'll bring His Majesty with that device, trying to calm himself down. He needs to ask His Majesty to let Jang Youngshil take a vacation. Just then, an official rushes up, gasping. Your Highness the Grand Prince. How much longer are you going to keep His Majesty exercising? He's been exercising for 1 hour every day. Suyang turns to him, a dangerous glint in his eyes. If you do not follow the path I'm taking, you will be breaking your promise. Are you going to treat a promise with me as a piece of cake? The official is taken aback. That is such an unfair thing to say, Your Majesty. Another official runs up, pleading, Your Highness. Please stop His Majesty, and not just keep watching. The official could only smile weakly, thinking, who would dare to stop His Majesty? Another official thinks to himself, there's no mistaking that he's taking revenge on the Office of Inspector General for barging into his abode. If not that, the Inspector General collapses to the ground, exhausted. His subordinates rush to his side. My lord! Are you all right? The Inspector General, utterly defeated, wheezes, I'm done for. You all should at least run and chase after His Majesty. His loyal, or terrified, subordinates respond, we'll go with you, even if we have to carry you on our back. My shoes! My shoes are ripped apart. Please save us. One of the officials can only think, I can only hear their moans as if they're going to fall over at any moment. How? Suyang, riding high on his horse, surveys the scene with satisfaction. Desirable to see this of Joseon. A week after the military training, we find ourselves at Inspector General Isukchi's house. Do you really have to go? The Inspector General is clearly not happy about something. What is the meaning of it now? He continues, lamenting his age and the state of the court. Busybodies who don't even know what's going on are talking about demotion and exile as they please. I'm going to be 50 soon. It means it's hard for me to accept something new now. The Inspector General finally admits defeat. I must admit it now, that His Majesty really became healthy due to conducting oneself and preparing the body. The camera focuses on a darkened face, eyes gleaming with an unknown intention. Grand Prince Suyang too. The Inspector General realized that Suyang had become a completely different person, even from his eyes, unlike back then. Although it is not a part of primary affairs of the government, recently, the movements of the Jurchen people have been unusual. He plans to go to Hamgyal province as their provincial governor, and watch over them. Meanwhile, back at the palace. Tell Grand Prince Suyang to be careful about the Ming Empire's Ministry of Rights visit. The Ministry of Rights is an institution in charge of imperial affairs. I've heard that during their last visit, eunuch Changxing tried the soap and bought about 100 of them. Given the case, it is certain that those soaps have ended up in the hands of Wang Jin. Rumors say that guy is raising a hungry ghost within his body. Someday, was Grand Prince Suyang a time traveler? It's a question that's been on everyone's minds. Last Mid-Autumn Harvest Festival holidays, the whole family gathered together to enjoy the traditional folk game of powerlifting. The grandfather was as happy as a child when his grandson lifted 20 kilograms more than last year. Conducting oneself and preparing the body took root in our country. Starting from Grand Prince Suyang, the second son of King Sejong the Great, traditional folk games weren't the only thing he developed. Grand Prince Suyang was also the first creator of soap and surgical spirit. Some even claim that he was a time traveler. According to Lee Dowan, director of Joseon History Archives, conducting oneself and preparing the body that Grand Prince Suyang created seems similar to modern bodybuilding. During his youth, he was competent to the point that he seemed like a time traveler, but he became more negligent of his duty as days passed. Experts also criticize him for that. Had he spread conducting oneself and preparing the body even further, it wouldn't have been simply a traditional folk game. Instead, it would have spread to the entire world and replaced bodybuilding. To sum it up, he is just a meaningless figure who only added a folk game to the cultural heritage of our country. The Crown Prince eyed Suyang with concern. What dream did you have that you're behaving prudently? He noticed Suyang's pallor. You look very pale too. You'll have to reduce reading books for a bit. Yes, brother, that dream felt so real. There's no way I'd get caught for being a time traveler in the future. Suyang shook his head, a newfound sense of purpose in his eyes. No, it certainly can happen. On top of that, if I don't work hard from now on, it's highly possible that I'll be criticized by future generations. The weight of responsibility seemed to crush him. But I'm about to die under this pile of books. But then, a spark ignited within him. I'm going to make a new set of characters for our people starting tomorrow. He declared with renewed vigor. I can't say that you're excellent in simply but with the passion of conducting oneself and preparing the body. There's nothing you cannot do, is there? Let's gather our strength and make it. The Crown Prince smiled. You happens to know Sanskrit too, so it's a relief. We have a lot of books on phonetics, so it'll be of great help, aiding him in making proper sounds for the instruction of the people. I had a lot to prepare just for conducting oneself and preparing the body. Do you understand how I feel? The young prince now thinks that I'm someone who visits him only in the middle of the night. Your habit of sighing now resembles the second deputy commander Jang Youngshil. Suyang sighs deeply, contemplating the future. What do you think about looking into disciples? Didn't you say that you needed the roles of a trainer and assistant trainer? I think Ma Ilyong is suitable for that role. Since he's the son of a concubine, he couldn't rise to the governmental position, but his abilities are outstanding. It'd be great if it were him, but it'd be better if there were people of various identities. Why do we need people of various identities? Aren't filial piety and talent much more critical in conducting oneself and preparing the body? No, we certainly need someone of high status. In order to perform conducting oneself and preparing the body at the East Palace, we must have a member of the royal family. A disciple that is a member of the royal family. I can only think of one person, but I don't know if he'd want to perform conducting oneself and preparing the body. Prince Seosan, the third son of the deposed Crown Prince Yangnyeong. He stood silently, lost in thought. Grand Prince Yangnyeong, who was the original Crown Prince during King Taejo's reign, committed several acts of corruption and infidelity while riding on the backs of the royal family. In the end, he was deposed, and the great King Sejong rose to the throne. I heard that Prince Seosan grew up doing scoundrel-like deeds. What brings you here to see me, brother? Prince Seosan, personal name Ihai, third son of Grand Prince Yangnyeong, asked. Suyang sized him up. He's more normal than I thought. Suyang thought back to what he knew of the prince. I know the reason Prince Seosan went crazy was because his father, Grand Prince Yangnyeong, insulted his concubine. Is he still doing fine because that hasn't happened yet? Suyang decided to cut to the chase. Have you ever heard about conducting oneself and preparing the body? Seosan replied, yes, I know it's a new discipline founded by you, brother. Even His Majesty recommended it to the office of Inspector General. Suyang extended an offer. I'd like to take you in as my disciple and transfer the knowledge of conducting oneself and preparing the body. What do you say? Seosan bowed slightly. I would just like to thank you for your consideration, brother. Suyang grinned. How refreshing. Mr. Ma. The man bowed. Yes, Your Highness. Suyang turned back to Seosan, a glint in his eye. We shall begin after having you relax your body with a wooden bar. Suyang's offer of sole enlightenment was met with resistance. Don't come any closer. The prince recoiled in disgust. My head is hurting already with the smell of sweat. How dare you try to touch me with your dirty self? The prince continued his rant. I'd love to learn conducting oneself and preparing the body, but I'm a member of the royal family too. Brother, how do you expect me to function with a lowly son of a concubine? Suddenly, a royal scolding rained down from above. What are you doing? Hurry and get down at once! The prince's legs gave out. I really can't do it this time. I can't feel my thighs anymore. Suyang watched the prince struggle, unimpressed. You're making such a fuss. Isn't it easy for Mr. Ma to carry 60 gun and even more? The prince, face contorted in pain, could barely choke out, I was wrong. Please decrease the weight, he begged pathetically. Please, brother. Suyang, however, was unmoved. As expected, the answer was right here. The prince collapsed to the ground, gasping for air, utterly defeated by the weight. An official watching the scene unfold couldn't help but speak up. Haven't you been mistreated all your life because you have the blood of a deposed crown prince? He continued, his voice laced with disapproval. How could you give him the same unfair treatment you experience regularly? The official berated the prince, questioning. When you know that such injustice would be compounded because Ma Ilyong is a concubine's son? Tears streamed down the prince's face as he confessed. It's because, without doing such things, I can't bear the injustice done to me. He continued, lamenting his position. What can I possibly achieve by learning this discipline, when elder brother and second elder brother are already more excellent than me in it? I've never been involved in government affairs, let alone held a government post. He sobbed. I've lived my entire life under the watchful eyes of others with people worrying that I, with an impure heart, would threaten the throne. I can't do anything, and I am always frustrated. I remain anxious no matter what I try to do, he whimpered. The official remained stern, replying, even so, as a member of the royal family, you ought not to behave like that. Don't you know how scary the wrath of a royal family is to a commoner? Finally, the prince relented, tears still streaming down his face. Ma Ilyong, I was wrong. I will behave well in the future. The prince seemed to be taking his words to heart, as Suyang continued to plot his next move. Suyang declared, learn the 3 basics of bench press, squats, and deadlift from Mr. Ma. Suyang peered intently at the prince. Once you reach a combined weight of 650 gun, I'll consider putting you in charge of conducting oneself and preparing the body inside the palace. The prince was shocked. Me conducting oneself and preparing the body in the palace? Hasn't His Majesty proved the effectiveness of conducting oneself and preparing the body himself? Suyang began to lay out his vision. Someone who goes back and forth in the palace must master conducting oneself and preparing the body just like the 4 books and 5 classics. The person teaching conducting oneself and preparing the body will be called trainer. Suyang continued, I need someone other than me who can perform the conducting oneself and preparing the body hall in the East Palace. What do you think it is, if not being the king's teacher? Suyang finished his thought. If you rise to the position of the king's teacher, do you think the people around you can still point their fingers at you? The prince looked utterly defeated, sprawled on the floor after his workout. A single tear rolled down his cheek. Is there really hope for me? I'm embarrassed to say this, but I was so scared of the others' eyes that I haven't even learned the 13 classics. Suyang and Mr. Ma stood side by side, a united front. Mr. Ma and I will help you, Suyang continued, reassuring the prince. And His Majesty is creating a new set of characters, which will immensely help learning the scriptures. These new characters were called the proper sounds for the instruction of the people. Meanwhile, the newly buffed royal guards bowed in unison, a testament to the effectiveness of Suyang's training. King Sejong, ever the benevolent ruler, declared, our country's language is different from that of the Middle Kingdom, and many people cannot express their will. For this purpose, I am creating a set of 28 new characters out of compassion. He presented the new script with pride. This is a set of characters to teach the people correctly. With a flourish, he emphasized the importance of this new system, correctly engraving the voices of the people in itself. The king finished with a flourish. Just then, the young prince came running in, calling out, Father! King Sejong smiled. Young prince, what brings you here? The prince beamed, holding up a cat. Father, now I can carry the cat too! Sejong chuckled. Ho ho, how amazing! The prince tilted his head, a child's innocent curiosity shining in his eyes. But father, why is Uncle Jungo always lying down whenever I see him? The other day, he was begging to have his life spared. Is he sick? Meanwhile, on the training grounds, Ma Ilyong was completely spent. He wheezed. There is no gain without pain. Muscles get sore while growing. Oh, back with the king, the young prince looked up to Hai, impressed. Uncle Hai, you are amazing. Uncle Jungo is always lying down, but you're always sitting. Hai sighed, wiping sweat from his brow. It's nothing amazing. I'm starting later than the others, so I can't lie down even if I want to. Young prince, you should learn any discipline early. The prince's eyes widened, holding up a book. Then again, you're still 5, so it'll be too much for you to read any book. Are you talking about this? The young prince, holding up the book, asked. You brat. When did you learn how to read? Father gave me this book. Would you like to take a look too, uncle? Suyang's thoughts drifted. My son is already 5 years old. Is this even possible? My life was all about progressive overload, I mean barbells and dumbbells. Progressive overload is when you gradually increase the weight, frequency, or number of repetitions in your strength training routine. But my life from the modern era feels like a dream now. Back in the courtyard, Soo-young's wife was doing dumbbell exercises. He thought, to think exercising will be my family's daily life. She smiled, wiping sweat from her forehead. This much is easy now. Soo-young's eyes widened. Ha! He rushed toward her, shouting. My wife! Soo-young rushed to his wife's side, concern etched on his face. My wife! Are you all right? She leaned into him, explaining. Yes. I couldn't keep myself together. My head suddenly felt dizzy, and I failed to control my body. Her words were followed by a concerning admission. I feel nauseous too. Soo-young's eyes widened. She feels nauseous? Nauseous. He quickly tried to diagnose the issue. This must be a temporary symptom caused by shortness of breath, which caused a reduction of the flow of air to the head. Don't tell me. Take a deep breath slowly. He steadied her, relieved. Fortunately, I was right beside her. Otherwise, she could have been injured seriously. Soo-young's expression darkened. The more people exercise, the more people will get injured. He was clearly conflicted. What should I do? Soo-young's eyes gleamed with an almost maniacal intensity. It wasn't 250 gun, but 150 gun. He approached the man, a predatory glint in his eye. So you're Woo Hyun-gyu. Let's have a talk with me, will you? Soo-young turned away, a thoughtful expression on his face. He began his diagnosis. This is more serious than I thought. It looks like frequent meals to nurture his injured back caused him to gain weight. Scanning shoulders that keep getting hunched due to a weak core. Protruding belly, even with a skinny body. I heard he didn't stop riding horses even after injury because his weight was increasing. It may no longer be possible to do anything about it. Woo Hyun-gyu looked up at Soo-young, desperate. It seems to me that your condition has worsened since you continued to train despite being injured. Is there a way to cure this? Soo-young smiled, a hint of challenge in his voice. There is. But I can't assure you that you will be cured completely. Would you trust and follow me? Soo-young demonstrated the workout routine. First, lunges. Hop. Back stretching Mackenzie exercises. Diligently train your body this way. Woo Hyun-gyu looked skeptical. Yes, I understand, but does this really train the body? Isn't it simply moving the body? About that, unfortunately, I need to tell you this in advance. Soo-young paused, choosing his words carefully. Even if you perform conducting oneself and preparing the body, you won't be able to lift heavy weights. Of course, it'll get better from now, but since you said it has been more than 1 year since you hurt your back, the bad news hit him hard. It seems like it'll be difficult to make a complete recovery. Woo Hyun-gyu's face fell. No way. Despair washed over him. Is there another way? Are you telling me to live this way without being able to act like a man? I'm ashamed to see my wife now. Woo Hyun-gyu's world had just crumbled, but then he heard a voice. A wife. My wife! Are you all right? He rushed to her side, a wave of emotion washing over him. I couldn't keep myself together. Soo-young watched the scene unfold, then spoke. So I'd like to ask you, Woo-jang, Soo-young continued, laying out his plan. I'd like you to find ways to cure yourself based on conducting oneself and preparing the body. Woo Hyun-gyu was dumbfounded. Are you asking me to become a physician? I've never even read any medical books, Soo-young countered with logic. Even physicians don't know about muscles in detail. He elaborated on his reasoning. That's why many people like you receive wrong prescriptions. A rehabilitation physician must understand the relationship between muscles and skeleton. The royal physician was moved by Soo-young's dedication. I see. To think you'd be this deep thinking. I won't let anyone speak badly of His Highness now. Soo-young chuckled. Haha, I think everything will be fine as long as you keep your mouth shut. Meanwhile, the royal guards continued their intense training, lifting weights and performing calisthenics under Soo-young's watchful eye. Soo-young mused to himself, by the way, I'm slowly gathering disciples. Through the invention of Hangul, the concept of conducting oneself and preparing the body would spread rapidly, and at this rate, people would start exercising naked outdoors. He realized the need for appropriate workout attire. I must find a fabric that anyone can easily buy and wear, regardless of whether they are nobles or commoners. He examined a sample. Oh, you created this in a hurry, but it's not bad. It's a fabric that is easy to obtain, so even if it gets torn and dirty, it will be easy to wear again. One of the court ladies examined the fabric closely. Even so, isn't cotton mainly worn by commoners? Soo-young flexed, showing off the gains. There are other fabrics too, but why does it have to? What do you think, my wife? The queen was visibly shocked by the sight. Good heavens. What kind of clothing is it? It's my first time seeing this type of clothing. Soo-young explained his vision. This is an outfit exclusive for exercising, designed by me. Although it's just a normal t-shirt in the modern era. No matter what, I chose cotton because it'll be easy to obtain, and it's the most comfortable for athletic activities. He paused, considering the implications. But nobles might not want to wear it because they are unfamiliar with the texture. But the queen's expression changed, a spark of understanding in her eyes. I was wrong. Judging by how you're moving, it looks like the perfect fabric for exercising. As expected, so that's what you think, my wife. Very well. Then, make some extra pieces using this pattern. A court lady bowed. Yes, your highness. Like that, cotton, which was often used by commoners, was used to make exercise suits. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the palace, oh my, is this what conducting oneself? The seeds of change were being sown, and not just in the palace. Elsewhere, at Jingwan Temple, under the dim light of a candle, a scholar was engrossed in his studies. Mei Jeqian, aren't you too absorbed in your studies? He stretched, joints popping. It's 11 p.m. now, so you should return now. I lost myself again in books. Is it midnight already? Song Samman, scholar of Hall of Worthies, Shin Sukju, junior scholar, asked, You've been focusing more on your studies recently? Why is that? He replied, What do you think? A relative of the royal family is setting an example. We can't lose either, can we? Implying Grand Prince Suyang. He picked up the book. Is that the book of conducting oneself and preparing the body? I just read it briefly, but I like the content. By the way, what is Dan Guy doing? Hawiji's courtesy name. It's something called push-ups in the book. Come to think of it, you disappeared at dawn and came back after bathing. By any chance, were you taking a run on the mountain path according to the book? I'd like to do that, but the path in Mount Buchan is steep, so it's hard to run. In return, I did rope skipping for warming up the body and driving away distracting thoughts. I don't think it's such an amazing book. Other than how to build a body, it's just a compilation of what we already know. You should not take lightly the book His Highness the Crown Prince sent us. Hawiji, junior scholar of the Hall of Worthies. The two scholars stared intensely at each other, the tension palpable. Now, you're both very hot-blooded. Why don't we stop here for the day and discuss the book tomorrow afternoon? The scholars continued their debate about Suyang's new training methods, the sun streaming through the trees outside. One of them suggested, Would Dan Guy, the one who read the book the most, speak first? Dan Guy began. The discipline called conducting oneself and preparing the body believes that it is not enough to just cherish the body given to us by our parents, so it focuses on making it stronger. Another scholar chimed in. I still haven't done it, but hearing about it from Dan Guy, there's something I'm doubting about. A scripture contains the words of a wise sage, but was Grand Prince Suyang that kind of person? Another agreed. I think so too, and there's something else. The basic way to show filial piety is to rise in the world and gain fame, so what is the purpose of building the body? The first scholar continued. According to the first volume of Conducting Oneself and Preparing the Body, it is said that minor illnesses would disappear, and one would not get tired easily even in extreme heat and cold, but I'm doubtful if it's correct, he concluded. While I do not think focusing on cause and effect is a bad thing, what bothers me more than anything is that it is a discipline that uses expensive hardware. The scholars continued to debate the merits of Suyang's fitness revolution. One asked, It is said that the body can change correctly, but how many people have been transformed? Another scholar responded, Don't you know it too? He revealed the shocking truth. It's His Majesty. The others were stunned. Don't tell me, are you guys? They panicked, vehemently denying any ill intent. Trying to disdain His Majesty? There's no way we would. One of them pointed out the obvious. He rapidly transformed ever since learning conducting oneself and preparing the body. The eunuchs say he's even more active than during his youth. He continued, Not all theories of the book may be correct, but doesn't it definitely make the body stronger? He paused, considering the implications. If we immerse ourselves in a book all day and can still move normally the next day, won't it help with our studies too? One of the scholars was aghast. Are you implying that we should bring the hardware into Jingwan Temple? Suyang, ever the pragmatist, suggested alternatives. If the situation is not conducive, we can use stones or logs of small weight. 15 kilograms. Suyang shrugged, unimpressed by their lack of commitment. If you don't like it, you don't have to do it. 8 days later, a log slammed onto the temple floor. One of the scholars collapsed, utterly spent. It's so hard that I can't take this anymore. What's so good about this? But it wasn't long before the scholars started dropping like flies. I can't take this any longer, one of them argued. We can read one more book within this time. Another scholar wiped his brow, utterly defeated. Suyang watched them go, unfazed. In the end, everyone is quitting, huh? He grabbed the pull-up bar, determined. I saw people changing due to conducting oneself and preparing the body. So I'm going to perform it diligently and make a healthy body out of myself. August 1441. Back inside, the king approached Fu Hyungyo with a smile. You've worked really hard. Suyang watched his subjects working hard. I thought creating a shoulder press device and seated row device would be difficult. He grinned, scribbling notes. It's all thanks to working day and night. If I add more weight here, what will happen? One of the workers, clearly regretting his life choices, muttered, Isn't it natural for a subject who receives a stipend to obey the royal orders? Another added, panting, Men of the Office of Inspector General were the ones working hard, because they even provided resources to test the stability of the device. Just then, a familiar voice called out, I came here to see the completed devices. Brother, the workers scrambled to attention. Your Highness the Crown Prince. They bowed deeply, eager to report on their progress. We would like to make a report, Your Highness. We have proven the stability of the devices. The Crown Prince was practically begging. He implored the men to test out the new weightlifting device. Please get on the device and perform the exercise. But Suyang was having none of it. Would you let this go? I'm going to punish all of you. Should I have brother do the big 3 exercises while I'm at it? He pushed his brother harder. Brother! A bit more! Put in a bit more strength. Finally, the Crown Prince completed the lift. A system notification appeared. You've raised the level of conducting oneself and preparing the body. Congratulations on reaching 500 gun of the big 3 exercises. The Crown Prince, now benching 190 kg, felt a surge of pride. It feels different being acknowledged by you. My body is quickly getting better, so it'll take around 1 year to reach 700 gun, don't you think? Suyang smiled, laying down some hard truths. We don't know for sure. Everyone's muscles grow at different rates, but for me, I have diligently grown my muscles to lift 800 gun for the big 3 exercises. He glanced at the barbell, AT/L of 300 kilograms displayed above it. Ever since then, my muscles haven't grown further. Suyang continued his fitness diagnosis. I possess the body of Grand Prince Suyang with tremendous talent, and have already gained experience in the modern era. On the other hand, although brother is a descendant of the talented King Taejo, he lacks experience and skills. He turned to his brother, flexing his arm. It would probably take 2 years at the shortest, or 5 years at the longest, for brother to reach 700 gun. He grinned. Don't you think my arm has grown thicker? Suddenly, Suyang's expression turned serious. But is it important if it takes 2 years or 5? He loomed over the Crown Prince, a mischievous glint in his eye. The most important thing may be somewhere else. Brother, would you like to do another set? He chuckled darkly. Above them, the sky was clear and empty. The palace was quiet, but inside, the queen wasn't feeling so well. Suyang rushed to her side. My wife. Are you all right? She replied weakly. I made you worry. I have been having morning sickness for a while and can't even eat. Suyang frowned, realizing her dietary needs weren't being met. I apologize, but there's meat I haven't had in a while. You're talking about pork. Come to think of it, you've only been eating beef and chicken that are not oily due to conducting oneself and preparing the body. He balled his fist, determined. I can't just stay still. Just wait, my wife. With newfound purpose, Suyang sprinted out of the room. I'm going to get you some pork right away. Oh my. He arrived at the butcher shop, ready to make a demand. It will be used as meat for consumption, so show me the biggest one here. The butcher beamed, presenting his finest specimen. Absolutely, Your Highness. Here it is. Suyang's face fell. Stop joking around and show it to me. The butcher, feigning innocence, replied. Oh my, Your Highness. Why would I play some joke with you? Doesn't its flesh look so firm yet so puffy at the same time? Suyang was incredulous. Is there a better pig than this in the 8 provinces of Joseon? This is an adult pig? He stared in disbelief. Even without its cheeks, doesn't it look sturdy and chubby? I bet you will never be able to find a better pig than this in the 8 provinces of Joseon. This is a fully grown pig. This won't do. I need to feed my wife a bigger pig. Meanwhile, back at the palace, Kim Jong-seo had returned from battle. Your lowly subject, Kim Jong-seo, has defeated the northern barbarians and returned to the capital. Kim Jong-seo, courtesy named Kim Gukyeong, a tiger from the early Joseon dynasty who was good at both scholarly and military arts. The king greeted him warmly. It's been hard on you. It'll be winter soon, so even the barbarians won't be able to move around easily. Kim Jong-seo bowed deeply. It's all thanks to your immeasurable grace, Your Majesty. As the lanterns glowed in the night, Suyang found himself in the middle of a feast. Can I pour you a drink in His Majesty's stead? Suyang accepted the offer. Of course. His companion continued, I heard about your rumor, Your Highness. I think your presence can rival that of the greatest general in the world. Suyang chuckled, accepting the compliment. You flatter me. I didn't build muscles to shoot a bow or swing a sword. The man leaned in conspiratorially. Didn't you send a guy who was more trustworthy than a bow and a sword all the way to the north? A trustworthy guy. Suyang nodded sagely. I'm talking about the spirit. The man explained. I had my doubts when we suddenly received strong liquor from the capital, but they told us it was your highness' invention, and that we should use it to wipe the wound with a clean cotton cloth. Thanks to it, the number of soldiers with festering wounds decreased, so that's why there was no rust in the distiller. I can't believe it's being used so well. However, the fact that you send us spirit was not necessarily a good thing. Northern soldiers always drink to drive away the cold. There have been many times when they got in trouble for drinking spirit. Now that I think about it, you get alcohol if you mix spirit with water. In the first place, using soju as ingredients, how did you take care of it? We added motherwort, a bitter plant, to the spirit. After that, even if they tried to drink it secretly, they had no choice but to spit it out. Haha, oh-ho, Li Wenbang, take a cup too. Huh! Yi Wenbang, with his incredible strength, Wenbang also played an important role in subjugating the barbarians. No. I simply used my strength for His Majesty the King. Yi Chingik, courtesy name Yi Wenbang, a famous general in the early Joseon dynasty who rose to fame under Kim Jong-seo. Now that two strong men have met, you two must have a lot to talk about. I have to go learn new writings from His Majesty. Trainers I activated. Scanning. Great overall muscle balance, firm muscles. This is the first time since I came to Joseon that I have seen anyone whose physique can be compared to mine. This man was an incredible martial artist. As history tells it, when Suyang ascended to the throne and was in danger of a purge, he attempted to raise the military by gathering the Jurchens from Hamgyal province. But according to the history books, he was killed by his subordinate generals. In the end, the rebellion failed, but he is said to be the most powerful person in history in terms of strength. What's this? Did he not come here because he had something to say? Suyang thought to himself. This is so awkward. Well, I guess it's understandable because if history goes the way it was, he would end up dying at my hands. The general stammered. The news of your mighty power spread all the way to the north, your highness. How embarrassing. He continued, I have a lot of questions about conducting oneself and preparing the body. Would it be alright if I visit your house later? Suyang smiled, realizing the general was trying to spare his feelings. Ho, competing for strength here would make a lot of people feel uncomfortable. Did he say that out of consideration for me? Of course, he reevaluated his opinion. This person may not be as bad as I thought. Meanwhile, two soldiers approached Suyang's residence. Is it His Highness the Grand Prince's house? They stared up at the massive prince in awe. Is he truly a human like us? Inside, the general examined the equipment. I've already read conducting oneself and preparing the body. Is that thing called a small dumbbell? That's right, he reached out cautiously. May I take a look at it? Suyang cautioned him. Since it's made of cast iron, please be careful as it is quite heavy. It definitely weighs a lot more than it looks. The general watched Suyang casually curl a dumbbell. I can barely do dumbbell rows with a 25-gun small dumbbell, yet he's doing dumbbell curls with it. Another soldier chimed in, having heard rumors of the prince's strength. I heard that your highness used 1,000 gun for the 3 major exercises. The general's competitive spirit flared. If I were to do the 3 major exercises, how much could I lift? Meanwhile, Suyang continued to push his own limits, grunting with each rep. The general watched in awe as Suyang lifted the massive weight. This definitely takes quite a bit of strength. I've been learning for 6 months, and I can't even dream of lifting that heavy yet. The iron slammed back down, the impact shaking the room. The soldier was impressed. You are incredible. For someone who is doing body training for the first time, you can already lift 690 gun in the 3 major exercises. In this day and age, it wouldn't be strange if someone called this divine power. What's wrong? Is there something you don't like about conducting oneself and preparing the body? No. Thanks to it, I learned a lot about how to train my body. Please be honest. Since I came up with this study on my own, I think it has some shortcomings. His Majesty the King said that Grand Prince Suyang invented a method to perfect the body, and it could be used in military art. However, you are thinking that it would be difficult to use the conducting oneself and preparing the body in the military, right? Suyang nodded, waiting for the general's honest opinion. When it comes to conducting oneself and preparing the body, the emphasis is on bulking up the muscles. But I don't think you need to be muscular to wield weapons. After all, you need a specific body type for using weapons. I've heard this a lot somewhere. Bodybuilding muscles are for decoration. That's some great insight. Please continue. Also, the book said to eat meat and get enough exercise. Would it be possible for average soldiers to eat meat daily? As military literature and academics have different paths, conducting oneself and preparing the body can only be applied to academics. It isn't practical. Suyang's face darkened, a dark aura emanating from him. So he's saying I don't know anything about military literature? Grand Prince Suyang may not be a military man, but I, Choi Youngjik, was a former member of the Korean military and a reserve sergeant before I transmigrated. I first learned about bodybuilding in the military as well. Within 3 years, I will invent a new conducting oneself and preparing the body schedule for soldiers. Meanwhile, back at the palace, King Sejong sat on his throne, reading a letter. Just then, the crown prince entered. Is there something wrong, father? The king looked up. It is a letter from the Ming Empire that they want to purchase about 100 soap bars. That's great news. It's worth having grown alodia trees, the material used to make soap. He paused, his expression turning curious. But they also want to see Grand Prince Suyang, the one who created the soap. One of the court officials looked concerned. I don't understand why they would want to see him, considering you has no connection with the Ming Empire. From what I heard, it was an eunuch from the Ministry of Rights. The king smiled, pleased with how things were progressing. This has gone rather well. Among the royal members, you has a more open view than anyone else. His smile widened as he considered the possibilities. How about the iron slammed back down, the impact shaking the room. Sweating and panting, the soldier wipes his brow, clearly impressed by Suyang's gains. In just over a year since you began studying conducting oneself and preparing the body, you've already achieved the feat of lifting over a total of 500 guns in the 3 major exercises. It seems quite achievable for you to become an assistant trainer by next year. Really? In my opinion, I don't think I will even be able to catch up to His Highness the Crown Prince, let alone become an assistant trainer. Suyang suddenly changes the topic. Brother, do you remember when I tried to take in a concubine before? I guess so. You wanted to bring in a concubine. However, you gave up, saying you wanted to focus on conducting oneself and preparing the body. Actually, I brought in a concubine again. People around me were apprehensive because I didn't have children. The Crown Prince looked shocked. What? I see. Suyang continues, yes, that's why I ended up taking the daughter from the Yun family of Hamyang. In this era, people usually have children before age 20. It is a prevalent practice to have a concubine if you are childless even after age 20. King Sejong the Great was also very concerned until Big Brother had his first child at 23. Is there a problem? About that. Suyang leans in with a devious grin. Would you believe me if I told you that soon your father would attack your wife? So, he raises a finger, a glint in his eye. I read your fortune based on the Book of Changes. It is said that if you take a second wife, a man-made disaster will befall her. The Crown Prince looks back, concerned. A man-made disaster? Not a natural disaster, but a man-made one? Suyang smirks, knowing he has his brother's attention. Do you know how to prevent a man-made disaster? Using your physical strength, of course. He flexed his bicep for emphasis. Oh, makes sense. Something like stopping a man-made disaster caused by a thief with your strength. But the method for a woman to develop her strength, there's one. Look carefully. This is the martial art that I will teach your concubine. Try grabbing my collar, brother. When you beat someone, don't you always try to grab them by the collar first? He adjusted his grip, ready to demonstrate the devastating power of his new martial art. The man grinned, completely unaware of the pain that was about to be unleashed. It's true that I have grabbed many people by the collar. I really didn't want to do this again, so let me apologize, brother. Suyang's fist clenched, muscles bulging as he prepared to strike. You're grabbing it well. The martial art I created is something like this. The world seemed to slow as the general's eyes widened in confusion. With a sickening thud, the general went down. The general lay groaning on the ground, completely defeated. What on earth just happened? You collapsed after I hit your joints. Since you just experienced the effectiveness of my martial arts in person, bring your concubine to the training field soon. As they are both women, my wife can teach her in my stead. The general agreed, yes, brother. I understand. A few days later, the general's concubine was getting the royal beatdown. I'm going to die. Suyang's wife continued the training. Okay, it's your turn to try. She instructed, you need to use more strength, Lady Yun. Now it's your turn again, my dear, then dash. Lady Yun, Prince Seosan's concubine, asked, did you have any trouble learning it? She answered, yes, thanks to you. I learned it without any problem. But why are you teaching me this? Suyang's wife responded with a knowing smile. I'm sure it will be of great help someday. All right. Since I've mastered it well, I will definitely use it when there is a thief. Time passed by, and it was now June 1442. Your Highness! Just then, a messenger burst into the room. Something terrible happened to His Highness the Grand Prince Yangniang. He continued, the day has finally come. It is said that he has been beaten by a family member. His left arm is broken, and his teeth are damaged. Suyang tilted his head, wondering, Even though she learned only the elementary self-defense art, she still managed to injure that Grand Prince Yangniang that seriously? What on earth happened? Meanwhile, Prince Seosan was relaxing in his room. To think Prince Seosan studies this hard, what a surprise. He called out, new child. Are you there? Bring me some tea. A girl responded, yes, father. She entered the room with the tea. Father, your tea is her. Prince Seosan erupted in fury. You wench, the teacup goes flying. You only know how to take care of your husband while you no longer feel the urge to take care of this old man anymore, do you? Did you bring the tea here after growing the tea leaves yourself? How much time has passed since I told you to bring it to me? He continued his tirade. You mannerless wench dash. The girl looked up, tears streaming down her face. Just then, the king appeared, a lecherous grin on his face. Seo-sen has brought in quite a beautiful child. His taste in women is exactly like mine. Seo-sen grabbed her roughly. Kaiarg, the girl cried out. No, don't do it, she pleaded. Please let go of me, father! The king's lecherous intentions were cut short, as Seo-sen's nose exploded in a shower of blood. You bitch! The girl, surprisingly strong, had grabbed his arm and twisted it. Seo-san screamed. I told you not to come closer to me! When did I come close? Have you gone out of your mind? With a sickening crack, his arm snapped. He howled in agony. Save me! Meanwhile, back in the forge, the metal continued to heat up. The king, now in a wheelchair and with his arm in a sling, sat surrounded by court officials, the girl kneeling before him. The chief inquisitor stepped forward. Tell me what the Royal Investigation Bureau has discovered. Yes, your majesty. We have concluded that Grand Prince Yangnyeong was beaten by a concubine. He has suffered severe injuries. There's something I'd like to ask. How can concubine Yun beat Prince Yangnyeong, who knows martial arts? Hi, and you have trained concubine Yun. Their techniques are meant to kill others. Even though I knew martial arts, I still ended up in this state. Had I been an ordinary person, I might have died. Please punish not just this wench but also those who recklessly taught her those lethal techniques, your majesty. He always said I was his favorite nephew, but now I'm just a stranger, huh? Is that true? Tell us in detail what has happened so far, Grand Prince Seong. Your lowly subordinate, Grand Prince Seong, only taught her self-defense art. I understand. First of all, rather than being a technique to kill people, it seems that the method invented by Grand Prince Seong is a way to protect one's body. What do you all think? Who is at fault? I, your lowly subordinate, Chief State Councilor Huang Hui, think that, considering Grand Prince Yangnyeong's usual behavior, he may have tried to rape concubine Yun and was beaten back. I, your lowly subordinate, Minister of Justice Yu Gaimun, is of the opinion that, although Grand Prince Yangnyeong's sin is great, concubine Yun still harmed her father-in-law. This constitutes a crime of ethical violation. How troublesome. I am well aware of my brother's actions, but there are laws in the country. A person who commits a crime of ethical violation is punished as severely as treason. In other words, it's capital punishment. Concubine Yun, the king's side, finding the whole ordeal rather troublesome. Concubine Yun will be punished with 20 floggings. Implemented immediately. The royal guard responded, Yes, your majesty. The scene cuts to concubine Yun, tied to a wooden cross, awaiting her punishment. The executioner, looking grim, raises his instrument of pain. The first lash lands. Tears streamed down concubine Yun's face as the flogging began. The executioner tapped the ground, readying himself for the next strike. But before he could continue, a voice boomed out. Ahem! Concubine Yun cried out again as the interruption startled her. Grand Prince Yangnyeong, arm still in a sling, had seen enough. Paused. You bastard! What are you doing? He raged. Can't you hit her properly? A bitch like that needs to have her legs broken so she can never look down on her father-in-law again. He shoved the executioner aside. Out of the way. You useless bastard! He grabbed the stick himself, intent on delivering the punishment personally. I will do it myself. But before Yangnyeong could bring the stick down, a hand stopped him cold. That's enough, brother. Yangnyeong looked up in disbelief. What's going on? Ever since we were young, he has never been able to compete with me in strength. The chief inquisitor stammered. Your majesty, what's the meaning of this? Yangnyeong was furious. How can you do this to me and let the wench who harmed her father-in-law get off unscathed like this? Sejong silenced him with a glare. Why don't you shut up, brother? Sejong's voice was icy. Do you want to spend the rest of your life in exile? The stick fell from Yangnyeong's trembling hand. Yangnyeong lay defeated on the ground. Cook! Sejong's expression hardened as he addressed his brother. Our father, King Taejong, told me never to let you into the capital, but I took pity on you and allowed you to remain here. Even after you committed all kinds of evil deeds in Ikkian City, I was the one who tried to dissuade the other subjects from sending you into further exile. This will be the last time I show mercy, brother. He turned to the guards. What are you doing? Quickly place Grand Prince Yangnyeong under house arrest. The guards responded, Yes, your majesty. Yangnyeong struggled against them. Let go of me, you bastards. Your majesty. You can't do this to me? I do. King Sejong the Great's personal name. How can you do this to me? The chief inquisitor bowed. Your majesty. We will be continuing with the execution of the sentence. Sejong had heard enough. That's enough. You can untie her now. Prince Seo-san bowed deeply, tears welling up in his eyes. Your majesty. Your lowly subject, Prince Seo-san, really doesn't know how to repay you for your immeasurable kindness. Sejong sighed, trying to defuse the situation. It's truly an unfortunate incident. I will prepare a new residence, so move there quickly. And he gave the concubine a gentle look. You must have been going through a lot, so don't worry about anything now and just relax. Concubine Yun bowed, relieved. Thanks for your grace, your majesty. So, not long after the house arrest incident of Grand Prince Yangyang, my second child, my daughter Juhyun, was born safely. One day, as things were as peaceful as usual, Suyang was informed, Your Highness, you have a guest. He says this is his first visit to this place. The visitor announced, Greetings, Your Highness. I'm Weiji, pen name Dan Gai, a member of the Jinjuha lineage. Suyang tilted his head, recognizing the face. Didn't we encounter each other often on the way to the Hall of Worthies? I heard you were doing temple study, so what are you doing here? Weiji grinned. What's more, your physique has changed so much that I almost didn't recognize you. Weiji explained, my body was weak when I first started my temple study. After sitting around reading books for a long time, my back would hurt so much to the point that I couldn't sit any longer, so I started doing the conducting oneself and preparing the body. He continued, I felt like collapsing at first, but I got used to it after a while, so I wanted to come to say thank you. Suyang waved his hand dismissively. There's no need for that. It's not like I taught you anything. Weiji asked, on that note, would it be alright if I join you in conducting oneself and preparing the body? Suyang could only respond with a confused, huh? Suyang tapped his chin, deep in thought. I would have agreed in a heartbeat had it been somebody else. But Hao Weiji is one of the 6 martyred ministers. Hao Weiji is a man of great ability, so our country will suffer losses. Suyang voiced his concerns. I'm just worried that such a talented man like you seems to be taking an arduous path. Weiji responded, Pardon? There is no need to worry. He continued, compared to other friends, my talent is nothing special. Aren't the people you are comparing yourself to all geniuses? Suyang looked him in the eye. Do you truly want to become a trainer? Weiji responded with a determined look. Yes, I do. Weiji declared, I have already told His Majesty the Lord that I am withdrawing from the Hall of Worthies. Meanwhile, back at the Gaines dojo, Suyang's fitness revolution continued to unfold, one pull-up bar at a time. A new disciple arrived, ready to embrace the path of iron. I am the new disciple, Hajiwi. It's my pleasure to meet you, senior brothers. One of the senior disciples responded, trying to put on a brave face. All right. Although you have started your career as a government official, your experience in conducting oneself and preparing the body seems lacking, so come watch us and learn a lot. Hajiwi bowed respectfully. Yes. Please guide me. One of the swole disciples flexed his biceps, eager to show off. It's embarrassing, but I'd like to show you what I've accomplished so far. He approached the pull-up bar, ready to demonstrate his mastery. I'll start with pull-ups first. He paused, confused. Huh? Pull-ups? The senior disciple struggled on the bar. Don't overdo it. It is difficult for those who are new to conducting oneself and preparing the body to do even one pull-up properly. He grunted with effort. I have studied it for half a year, but I still can only do 3 or 4 dash. Another disciple took over, exploding with reps. 5, 6, 7, 8. The first disciple, humbled, yelled, Your arms aren't fully extended. It's the correct form that matters, not the numbers. The disciple continued pumping out reps. 10, 11. Suyang watched with a smile. Now that we have a new disciple, everyone seems to be fired up with passion. It will be a good stimulus for everyone. Meanwhile, Suyang and the Crown Prince took a stroll, admiring the vast landscape. Suyang grinned. How spectacular. If we squeeze all those Yodia trees, we can easily get about 20,000 gun oil. Suyang grinned, already calculating the profits. We will be able to receive a lot of silver if we make soaps with that, and sell them to the Ming Empire. I plan to acquire something more precious than silver on this trip to the Ming Empire. The Crown Prince looked at him, confused. Something more precious? Suyang's smile widened, a glint in his eye. Yes. It is. If you want the next part of this story, comment banana, and don't forget to subscribe.